You're listening to The Good, the Bad, and the Funny, the educational podcast where every week we tell 3 stories, one good, one bad, and one funny. I'm your host, Jesse McIntyre.
I'm your other host, Lynette Thomas.
And I'm your other host, Stacey Stark.
Hell yeah.
Lynette! Why don't you spin us a yarn?
It just feels too abrupt, you know?
You want to? I don't want to chit-chat. Let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay, all right.
You can chit-chat if you want.
Yeah, we can chit-chat, actually. I'm not ready to start.
Okay,
changed my
Jesus
mind.
fucking Christ, dude. Damn, well, what y'all got to talk about?
I had nothing, really.
I don't really have anything to talk about either.
I feel like I saw you guys.
I just told you guys the
Recently.
most interesting thing that happened in my life.
Hey, let's talk about... Okay, so... Stacey has beef with me drinking directly out of the bottle last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
However, it was hard liquor,
Yes.
which is sanitizing. It sanitizes the mouth
Yeah,
of the bottle.
I still
Put
don't want your saliva to get...
nasty ass lips on anybody's fucking bottle. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I was
How dare you?
raised a little street urchin,
Yes.
and
that
I
is
feel
true.
like that should be taken into account, you know?
Nah, nigga. We live in a society, bitch.
And I have
Absolutely
firmly
not.
rejected that society at every turn. I'm basically the Joker.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, shit. Wait, I forget. Did you tell me what you were talking about?
I did
forgot.
tell you.
I already
I'm
forgot.
glad.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Oh my God. I might be really bad at telling this story because it's...
Wait, I'm trying to remember. Hold on. Is it... No, I don't remember.
All right. I'm glad we could do that. Okay. So I wanted to talk about punks and Nazis today.
Oh, you're talking about Sid Vicious and Nancy. Sid and Nancy.
Yes.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
Okay.
you're kidding?
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
I thought they were real people. I was.
They
I
are
was
real.
They are
excited-
real people.
They were real people.
Well, I was excited to learn about that.
Oh, no, fuck them. I don't... No. That's not what this
That might be a pretty... I'll talk about that next week. I'll talk about Sid and Nancy next week.
Also, I've never seen the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
It's actually not that. It's kind of slow. It's really boring. It's you're not missing anything.
Cool. Bet. Love
Also,
that.
Sid Vicious was an industry plant. But that's a story for another time.
I don't understand what an industry plant is.
There is a band formed by a record label to sell records. So, like, they were a punk band, like an anti-establishment punk band, right? Formed by a record label to sell punk albums to disenfranchised youth. They were just trying to hit that market. So they created this band, the Sex Pistols.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
That's the part I've always been confused about.
Somebody from the Melvins, that dude from the Melvins was recently talking about how Nirvana was an industry plant, and that was just kind of my reaction. So, okay.
So what? They changed music. There was before Nirvana and
for
after Nirvana.
sure.
They fucking changed the game.
Yeah.
So what? So who cares?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Okay. I wondered, I needed to know if there was more to it than that.
I feel like it's probably particularly, like, taboo with, like, punk, though, because that's very much like a DIY culture
Right.
of, like...
Right.
It's a very much, like, a grassroots thing. So that is particularly
Right.
abhorrent within that subculture,
Yeah, I can
you know?
understand that. Okay, let's get to my story
Yeah.
about punks and Nazis. So, punk is a fucking movement, I guess. There's a whole thing to punks.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
You know?
Which started in, like, what, the 70s, 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's full of... like counterculture movement.
Yes.
Jesus, Lynette. All right. They were also kind of like a lot of violent and aggressive teens just running around, being anti-everything. And they love shocking people. Like, they love to do shit to provoke people. So while researching this, I found out something super interesting about Nazism and Nazi iconography in the U.S. People who were in the military and came back from World War II created like gangs of basically disenfranchised military, like servicemen, who started like riding motorcycles together. Like it was like biker gangs. And they started wearing like Nazi patches to basically say like, I served in World War II.
I mean,
give me some
presumably they
respect.
took those patches off of a dead Nazi.
Yeah. So that's how like Nazi iconography started and bled into the counterculture movement.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Isn't that crazy?
That is really interesting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did they have access to the dead bodies of Nazis?
They
By
fought
creating
Nazis.
them. Yeah.
They fought them?
Yes.
Yeah, these were World War II service members or servicemen, you know, who...
And so they took their patches?
Yeah, it's like a trophy.
Yeah, it's like memorabilia from the war that you were in.
Okay.
It's not uncommon for like combatants to take trophies and stuff like that. Like not dog tags. I feel like that's pretty taboo, but like patches, shit like that.
And then did they wear them?
I just said that, yeah.
I'm just trying to follow. Like
They wore them basically to be like, hey, you're treating us bad. The people who served in the military and killed Nazis. Here is my example of me killing Nazis. And so they wore swastikas.
Oh, I see. So this was like them saying, like, this is what I've done for you, but you're not doing anything to help me.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So anyway, that's how Nazi iconography kind of got into the counterculture and spread to like hippies. They also had a whole Nazi thing. Interesting.
Cool. Charles Manson.
I was literally just thinking of Charles Manson.
Yes. And whatever. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
but
no, that's really fascinating.
we're talking about punks right now. So, in early punk years, since punk kind of started in Britain was bombed by Germany, obviously. So punks started wearing like swastikas to be extra shocking to the British people around them. So they started wearing like swastikas as goofs and gaffs.
Just stick a fucking safety pin in your ear,
Like,
bro. Come on,
bro,
call
dude.
it a day.
What are you doing? Right. But it was like tongue in cheek and not serious. They weren't actual Nazis.
Yeah,
They were
I could
just
see myself doing something similar in my youth, you know?
being offensive.
Yeah.
In 1967, the National Front was formed, which was a combination of three far-right political groups in Britain. The three groups were League of Imperial Loyalists, the British National Party, and the Racial Preservation Party were these far-right groups in Britain. And they combined. Isn't that crazy?
The crazy
so
thing.
on the nose, dude.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound that far off from something I would like. If somebody today in America started a racial preservation party, I'd be like, oh yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's weird to see the quiet part so out loud.
For sure.
Because the other two are like the British Nationalist Party. We know you're fash, but
Yeah,
it's not
it's
like
subtle. You know,
it's
you're
subtle,
beating
but,
around
like,
the bush there.
Racial preservation.
They're just cutting
dog.
straight to brass
grief.
tacks there, man.
That's crazy.
I kind of respect it.
At least you know what you're getting into, dude. These three parties joined and formed the National Front, which was basically the white supremacist political party in Germany from like 1967 to like the 80s. What they did as punk was like forming in Britain, these racist people were like, well, I guess we can just kind of leech on to this because they're already wearing swastikas. So the National Front in Britain made the punk front, which was just actual neo-Nazi punks. That they just kind of scooped into the punk scene.
Oh, in a way, kind of industry plants.
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So anyway, because it's a bunch of fucking teenagers who were already joke wearing swastikas, it was not very difficult for them to convince these young people to, some of them, become fascist along with them.
This is giving me like mad 4chan vibes.
I wrote that in my notes. I was like, oh shit, I lived through one of these because everybody was a kiki on 4chan and shit. And it just led to, because you cannot have young white dudes sharing goofs and gaps
No, you
without
can't.
fascism
No.
following directly afterwards.
Sucks. We can't just have casual racism, you know?
Dude, you cannot have casual racism.
It's rough.
They will take that shit too far. Basically latched on to these people already wearing Nazi iconography. So we're not out of place wearing our Nazi, our real deal, I actually am a Nazi.
Yeah, it's easy to blend in.
Like, it's easy to blend in and spread your message to people who are already willing to wear swastikas.
Oh,
you know?
I see.
So that's what they did. So Nazi punks formed, and it was just like groups of little fascist Nazis in punk spaces, just being the worst people imaginable. They would storm into shows and like beat the shit out of people or slash people's tires or just like gang up and just beat the shit out of people. It was weird. And they would do that and nobody liked it.
Everybody thought they were generally just a real bad time.
Everybody thought they were just the worst people imaginable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have some quotes here.
Cool. Sorry, I meant it legitimately.
I believe you.
It sounded sarcastic.
Okay, so Henry Rollins said some of the punk rockers hit back. So that became a thing that went on for years. It was a mix of testosterone, Reagan, ignorance, anger, and youth. Some of these guys were just lightweight followers and would only attack in groups, but a lot of them were genuine bad dudes who were into like Clockwork Orange scale violence. It was really no joke.
Yeah, that was a terrible movie. I hated that.
That's the craziest thing you've ever said.
What?
It's such a great movie.
I hated that movie too, honestly.
I guess
watched it
I
when
understand
I was really
I
young.
understand why people hate it. I
I understand why it's a masterpiece, but I hate everything in that movie.
I really love that movie.
It was just traumatizing and difficult to watch.
Are you now or have you ever been a homosexual? Is the funniest thing. He's like being like interrogated before he goes into jail, and that military dude, the way he asks is fucking great.
I
So
don't
fantastic.
like.
Such a beautifully
There's
shot.
so much I don't like about that movie. Ugh.
That shot where he's like driving.
Okay, we're not.
I'm sorry. It's not a movie podcast. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ. Dave Dichter
Dichter, hardly know her. Sorry.
said it happened on Gilman Street in Berkeley, California in 1988. Nazi skinheads were charging in the club. We were able to push them outside the club. They'd come at you in different ways with baseball bats. They had clubs and used their Chevy Suburban like it was a tank.
God damn.
We literally had open clashes for hours. Nobody called the police. I was out there with about 10 to 12 people staring down 30 people. An African-American friend of mine got his collarbone broken.
That happened on Woodstock 99 too.
Yeah.
Where they drove like a big van in through the crowd.
That's really terrible. They just like plowed their fucking car into a group of kids.
So, yeah. So the thing is, I was digging around trying to see what punks were doing about Nazis in their scene at this, when it started up. And I guess they would either like call them assholes like on stage, or like one dude made a Nazi punk get on stage and just gave him the mic, but he was like really dumb.
That's so good.
And
That's such a beautiful way to handle that.
So he made him get on the stage. The guy was really dumb, and then the tour manager grabbed a drum stand and just hit him in the back of the head with the drum stand.
That's so good.
Okay, and I'm really reading these quotes to just tell you, basically, it was a problem, and it doesn't seem like that big of a problem because they were like punks, they were like teens, but it is a little alarming that just
Well, those
groups
teens
of fascists show up in a place.
Those teens grow up to be people who have an impact on the world. You know,
it's like a little fucking horrifying.
Those teens grew up to raise a little Ben Shapiro.
Exactly, dude. Another quote I wanted to read was from Daryl Jennifer of the Bad Brains. He said that out of my whole 40 years in Bad Brains, I guess I should say, the Bad Brains is a black punk band.
I have such a
didn't think that
rough relationship. They're super homophobic.
I thought it was a punk gang.
They so no, it's a band. My apologies. Anyway, he said, out of my whole 40 years in Bad Brains, I probably faced racism or heard the word, the N-word, maybe a handful of times. Back in the 80s, we were playing a show in Oklahoma. The little punk rock kid came up and said, I love your band, but my boyfriend and his friends are Nazis, and they're going to come down and kick y'all's asses. But they never came.
No shit.
That seemed to happen with the Bad Brains. No one came up to us with any of that N-word shit. I'm thinking we're unique in that. And I thought that was so interesting because, yeah, they're children fascists.
Yeah,
like,
they're not going to do shit.
They're only going to do shit to each other. There's no way they was really about that life and would actually talk shit to the Bad Brains. You know?
The Bad Brains.
Yeah, the Bad Brains.
Talk shit to the Bad Brains. I love
Were
that.
the Bad Brains slightly older, like adults compared to
No, I think they were
like the same age?
yeah,
late teens, early 20s. I mean,
early 20s. Yeah.
but it's easy to talk shit. It's a whole different story to
act on it.
Yeah.
To act on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to actually go beat up the Bad Brains.
Yeah.
You know?
That does sound like some like child activity to say you're gonna beat someone up and then not attempt to do
Bad
it.
Brains does go hard as fuck too.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. You're gonna be hard pressed to listen to Bad Brains and be like, I want to go beat these guys up.
Yeah. But also, I've noticed that in my existence too, that people will be very racist, but never around the people it would affect. Like, that's just interesting. I thought it was interesting that all the other punks were like, yeah, dude, these people sucked and they came everywhere. And Bad Brains is like, no, I never.
I see what you're saying. So like all of these white kids, all of these white bands were like, yeah, like fucking Minor Threat was like, yeah, the fucking Nazis everywhere, and Bad Brains is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense though, right? Because you can't convert Bad Brains, but you can convert fucking Black Flag.
Yeah.
You know. But apparently you can't.
And I also want to talk about, and I'll get to it a little bit later, but I was in, like into hardcore music when I was a teenager, and would go to all these basement shows and da-da-da-da. And there were neo-Nazis there too. It's like any gaggle of white youths, dude, you're gonna find some fucking Nazis.
Well, I feel like it operates in the same way a cult does. Like, of course, you're going to target these kids, right? Because they're poor and pissed off because they're poor, right? So they're easy fucking targets.
And especially if what you're doing is just fucking people up. So like, that's what they would do, is just beat the shit out of people and act really intimidating and super aggressive. And that also fit with the punk aesthetic because that is what it is. Like,
because there's like in the pit or whatever, there's camaraderie to be found in beating the shit out of each other.
Absolutely.
You know?
But like, I remember going to those hardcore shows and like one day explaining to my grandparents like what I wanted to go and do, and they're like, I'm sorry, like, the white kids are just beating each other up in a basement. Like, that's what you're doing with your time.
I kind of get your grandparents' perspective on that one, actually.
And it's like, yeah, that's what I was doing. But yeah, aggressive teenagers. Yeah, some of them are going to be fucking. The fascists are going to blend right in.
Yeah, for sure.
And so because the punk people and hardcore people were already aggressive, it's like, yeah, now they get to move around in a gang and be extra aggressive to people.
I think it's
that's
also
what they wanted to do anyway.
Worth noting, though, that like they were the people who weren't doing that shit were also on high alert about that shit,
Yes.
and beating them with fucking drum
And
stands.
they were beating them with drum stands, dude. I also wanted to point out that it was very hard. So I keep talking about like the punk aesthetic, but it's like hard to tell fascist clothes from punk clothes. They share a lot of similarities. So it was sometimes hard to tell who the group of fascists were. And it ended up being that the fascists would wear, this is so fucking stupid to me, the fascists would wear like red suspenders or red laces in their Doc Martens. And then the non-fascists would not wear that.
Right.
So that's how
You're talking skinheads.
But
here.
it's like, what if you're just a fresh young punk? You don't know.
And you think,
You're
oh,
going
those
to your
red
first night.
suspenders.
I like those red suspenders.
When I first got into punk, I didn't know that
you
shit.
get your
And
ass beat.
I had a pair of red suspenders. I didn't fucking. This shit was so like it didn't matter by the time I'd come around, but still, I didn't know what that iconography meant.
So,
So are you saying it's not okay for me to get some red suspenders?
you're fine.
So long as you don't have a mohawk and plaid pants, I think you're okay.
Yeah, they're not against red suspenders altogether. It's just punks who wear red suspenders. So,
Okay.
fascism was also during this time like spreading around Britain again itself with all those, the National Front, So, this is when Rock Against Racism started. Have you ever had?
I would rather have the racism. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes, Jesse. Listen to me. When I read, Rock Against Racism.
I wish the listeners could see my fucking face right now.
Angry.
That sounds like going to a Christian concert.
Absolutely.
But worse.
It's the worst thing I've ever heard. Now, look, it's icky. Oh, the name is so icky. The punks kind of bolstered this movement that we're going to talk about because they were so tired of
they were tired
Nazis.
of these fucking assholes. Yeah.
Right. So they joined this. They kind of like pushed the movement forward. Punks did en masse, but
they were the ones being affected by it. So,
right. But the thing is, but that's not who created it, which is why it has that name, and it's so unfortunate because as a young punk, how dare you?
Yeah.
I don't want to be in Rock Against Racism. Are
poor
you?
Ian MacKaye and fucking Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
They had to fucking had to co-sign that shit.
Dude, rough.
Ugh.
Dude, rough. So,
Poor Jello.
So, Rock Against Racism was from 1976 to 1982. It was supposed to be just a one-off concert where they rock against the racism. But it ended up being more of a movement. And what they did, look, guys, I have to tell you how this movement began.
This ain't a scene. It's a goddamn arms race.
So Rock Against Racism began because Eric Clapton is a racist.
Really?
That kind of tracks, actually.
So listen to this fucking quote, dog. This shit, I was flabbergasted. This was a mailer, I guess.
The Tears in Heaven guy?
It was like an open letter. Yes, dude. It was like an open letter that Rock Against Racism wrote in response to Eric Clapton being racist out loud. I'm going to read you what the mailer said. When I read about Eric Clapton's Birmingham concert when he urged support for Enoch Powell, who is a white supremacist, I nearly puked. What's going on, Eric? You've got a touch of brain damage? So you're going to stand for MP and you think we're being colonized by black people? Come on. I'm like, he said what? Wait, Eric Clapton said Britain is being colonized by black people? That's crazy. Okay, come on. You've been taking too much of that Daily Express stuff. I guess that's a mail site, whatever.
Yeah, it's a conservative right-wing.
Oh, I thought it was like a drug reference.
No.
you know you can't handle it. Own up. Half of your music is black. You're rock music's biggest colonist. You're a good musician, but where would you be without the blues and R&B? Anyway, that's how I found out Eric Clapton was a fucking racist. And apparently, he did a concert where he yelled that black people were colonizing and then like called for the mass ousting of all immigrants from Britain.
What was that guy's name? Enoch
Powell.
What a great name. If you're gonna be a racist.
Yeah, dude.
You know? Your name might as well be Enoch Powell. That's such a... It's delicious.
In the letter, they also bring up how he's in the song "Who Shot the Sheriff" with say it.
No, I'm not bailing you out on this one.
No, say it.
Bob Marley.
With Bob Marley.
Jesus.
Whew. Damn. And that's really fucked up that he's a racist piece of shit. Okay.
Damn.
So that's
I didn't know he was on that song.
So, yeah, me either. Me either. So anyway, they started an entire movement. The people who started Rock Against Racism were like people who worked in the theaters that rock music was performed at.
They were
just people, dude. So we started this movement. And then punk was like, you know what? We are against racism. And so that they propelled it on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of... They don't want that shit in their fucking venue. Yeah. And the people performing are like, yeah, you know what? Fuck this.
So they created like an anti-fascist fanzine called Temporary Hoarding, Rock Against Racism, through carnivals, like in major British cities. Yeah, I know. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Anyway, where they just like chanted like "fuck fascists" and
hell yeah. And there's just like a Ferris wheel
and
clowns and shit. You know, that's a petting zoo. Hell yeah. And a dude with Liberty spikes. That's amazing.
It was super successful, and they were really successfully able to basically stop Nazis from being comfortable in the punk scene. And I think that's really cool. Also, I did bring up the hardcore scene earlier. Like so the punk people kind of became hardcore people as a progression, right? So when like fascists decided to show up there, they also, like in the 90s and early 2000s, they created like a gang that was like anti-fascist gang and would just beat the shit out of anybody. There were several of them actually that would just beat the shit out of anybody who was being racist in the hardcore scene, which led directly to Antifa. And that's how we have
the black bloc today.
The Antifa movement.
Hell yeah. I love that anti-fascist streak still runs strong, like to this day. And I firmly believe that like punk rock and hardcore is such a huge influence on like why I am so strongly anti-racist and so strongly anti-fascist today. You know, I was kind of on a slippery... I won't say like I was heading towards that, but I could have very easily been steered in that direction, I think. You know, I was angry and young and poor and looking for a sense of community. I'm lucky I found the one I found and not something else, you know?
I remember being like hanging out with punks, and they were constantly drawing fucking swastikas places and shit. And like, I don't know, dude. Sometimes I'm like, are we listening to the same music? That's crazy that y'all are leaning into the fascism.
I won't censor his name, but Kyle Butler, you know, he's just a fucking idiot. It's like that kid, that guy they drug up on stage. He was just a fucking idiot. You know? And that's what I think what it boils down to.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, I knew a little black kid that kept joking about going to Klan rallies, like being pro Klan about it.
Do I know this kid?
I don't think so, and he's probably dead now. I can't imagine that guy's alive. But like we would hang out at the skate park, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm mixed, and like my mom is white, and so."
Oh God, bud.
Dude, he created like the creepiest backstory for himself, like a black man raped my mom and then she had me and I'm mixed, so I go to Klan rallies.
What the fuck, bro?
With my mom's family.
Wow.
Wild.
God damn, this took such a dark turn.
Huh?
did you believe that was true?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I thought he was just trying to fit in with a bunch of fascist white people. And that's weird and bad. So that was it.
I learned some stuff. Thank you, Lynette.
You're welcome.
Stacey Stark.
Are you guys ready for me to tell a story?
Yeah, you should spin us a yarn.
All right, this week, my white woman is...
It's Gwyneth Paltrow.
So, I wish I would have gotten the year that this happened. I think it was like maybe 2017. That Gwyneth Paltrow was in a ski accident with an elderly man named Terry Sanderson. And then I think it was like 3 years later that Terry Sanderson decided to sue Gwyneth Paltrow for the damages caused to him from the ski accident. And he is suing her for $3.2 million. And because she claims that he's the one who hit her, she's countersuing him for $1.
Noble.
He claims that she caused broken ribs and brain damage.
I do remember this now.
I can't believe you would forget it. I feel so underprepared, but I don't know how I could ever possibly be fully prepared to do this. It was like 80 hours worth of trial footage.
It's like crazy that you watched it.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I had a very similar experience this week with my research, and that shit's rough, dude.
Yeah.
I would just have watched highlight videos.
Yeah, but
there was a lot of coverage of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like, I wanted to form my own opinions.
That's very fair.
Okay.
I didn't want to just be like saying what other people said about it.
I see.
All right, so day one, Terry's lawyer, Bueller. His lawyers are Bueller, Sykes, and then Kristen. Those are the names of that guy. So Bueller's opening statements. He claims that Gwyneth Paltrow was the uphill skier and that she was watching to the side looking at her kids skiing when she hit Terry. He said that Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't think that it was that big of a deal. She said he wasn't that injured, even though he broke some of his ribs, and he also claims to have a traumatic brain injury. Terry claims that his quality of life was diminished. After the crash, Terry's lawyer said that Terry is no longer charming.
That's terrible.
So good.
Yeah. All right, so these are Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer's opening statements. His name is Owens. So she has Owens and Egan. And Owens says, you are not to award anyone anything because you feel sorry for them. You're here to decide whether someone negligently crashed into someone or if no one did. He said there are inherent risks of skiing. If I don't do this right, I could kill myself. Like he just said that out, right?
It's funny.
Yeah. He said, don't abandon your common sense. And he, when he's talking about Terry, he accidentally calls him Terry Sanders. He explains that skiing is a sentimental activity for Gwyneth Paltrow because her dad used to take her skiing, and like he taught her how to ski, but then he died. Oh. And so then she didn't ski for many years after that, but then when she had kids, she wanted to teach them how to ski. And this was also an important vacation for her because she was dating Brad Falchuk at the time.
Oh.
And they each had 2 children. So she had a boy and a girl, and he had a boy and a girl, and they were the same age. And this ski trip was meant to see if they could blend the 2 families together before they got married.
Uh-huh. As you do.
This is sounding more and more like the plot of a movie that Gwyneth Paltrow was just in.
Yeah.
What movie was it?
I don't know. This
Meet
sounds like
cute
it
at
could
a
be.
ski lodge or whatever.
Yeah. You know?
Maybe it's based on... Was there an accident, and did she get sued in the movie?
This isn't a
There
real
is no movie.
movie.
I mean, it could be. This is what I'm saying. This could be a movie she was in.
Oh.
Like, we should just
I'm
write
like,
this.
what are you talking
The
about?
way you said it, it sounded like there was a real
We
movie.
should write this movie
I'm not writing shit.
and
I don't
then
think Gwyneth Paltrow wants...
sell it to Hallmark.
I don't think she
I'm
wants
sure
to
we
spend...
can find another Gwyneth Paltrow. You know?
I'm just saying, I don't think that she wants to spend any more time thinking about
I mean,
this.
if we can get Gwyneth Paltrow, we might as well get Gwyneth Paltrow.
Sure. Okay.
But I mean, like, I didn't spend years and years on this. All of these people spent years on this. I only spent, 3 weeks on this, not consecutively, and I don't want to relive it. So Gwyneth Paltrow had hired a ski instructor for her son, Eric Christensen, and whenever Owens talks about Eric Christensen, he calls him Eric Christiansen. But then later in the trial, he said, "I just found out I've been saying it wrong for years."
For years?
Yeah.
Did Gwyneth not bother to correct him?
Didn't he write, he's seen the kid's name in documents, right?
This was a ski instructor.
Oh, the ski instructor's name in the court documents, though.
Right, but the name Christensen, it's like Christiansen. So it looks like Christiansen if you're reading it phonetically. But anyone who knows names would know that
that's not right.
it was just Christensen, because that's how that name is spelled.
He's also probably taken a few hits to the head as a ski instructor.
No, this is the lawyer.
This is the lawyer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the ski instructor?
And again, why do y'all know each other for years? Is it because of the length of the trial?
Yeah, because they worked on the
that's
case
funny.
for 3 years.
Okay.
Also, so Owens is talking about right after Terry crashed into Gwyneth Paltrow, he said she might have said something like, "What the F word?" And she might have even said the F word. We're gonna figure that out. He's talking about emails that Terry sent after the ski accident, and instead of calling them emails, he calls them posts. He's like, Terry posted this.
That's great.
Yeah. And he tells the jury that they'll be able to tell their grandchildren about how they helped their community by serving on this jury.
That's beautiful. I've always wanted to serve on a jury.
Me too.
I think it would be fun.
Me too. But I don't want it to be something really stupid,
Yeah, I want it to be like a murder,
Yeah.
Basically,
or
I
a
just wanna-
celebrity trial, or really funny.
That would
Yeah.
be cool. Or I would love to serve on the Trump thing. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that lady who got everybody. Do you remember what I'm talking about? There was that lady who just kept taking interviews. She was on the jury and she kept talking about how
weirdly
stoked she.
telling all
Yeah, she was
the
like, "Oh,
business.
I just thought it was so neat to be sitting so close to the president." And but yeah, I kind of get it. That sounds kind of awesome.
No, I'm gonna talk about this shit. Hand me a motherfucking microphone.
Exactly.
The first witness to the stand is Craig Ramone. And Craig Ramone is a guy who was in Terry's ski group. So they have an online meetup group where people can suggest a location for anyone who's interested to come and hang out and do an activity together.
Uh-huh.
It's an old people thing. And and so Craig Ramone was just part of Terry's meetup group.
That's actually kind of cute. I want to do that.
Yeah, we should have.
I want to do activities.
I want a nice BLT
We all just go to Guitar Center,
and just scratch up the guitars.
Yeah, dude.
So Craig Ramone is Terry's best witness for the case because he was uphill skiing down behind the accident.
Okay.
And then he also is the one who was with Terry in the moments after the accident.
Uh-huh.
However, he didn't actually see the accident.
Great.
But he's their best witness. But he said that Gwyneth hit him, fell on him, and bounced off.
So funny.
She weighs like what? Like
Bounceable. It's a bounceable amount, honestly, if I'm thinking about it.
So small.
I've definitely bounced off of someone
she's
before.
really tall, though.
How fat is Terry?
I think at the time he was fatter than he was during the
Yeah,
I've
if I
bounced
remember
off a belly,
correctly,
dude.
he was like stockier and on the shorter side, right? And then I'm Gwyneth Paltrow's like tall and skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see her doing much damage. I guess if she was going really fast. But she was going uphill, right?
No, you can't go uphill.
How the
skiing.
fuck do you go uphill?
They were both going downhill.
They were both going downhill?
But the debate is between who was behind who like hit who from the back.
I see. The uphill. You mean like who was further uphill? I see.
So like for him to say that she fell on him and bounced off, it just doesn't make sense. They're both wearing skis. That
is true.
That would have been just insane.
Mm-hmm.
That would have just been an insane thing.
Unless she like broke all of her bones. That's like the only way you could fall directly on top of someone in skis. Is that what you're saying?
You like your
The
legs
shape of
would
the
like
ski, exactly.
break and like snap forward.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think
if
I
the
understand
skis don't
skiing.
release. But
So,
both of their
so if you're here on two long stick boys, right? and someone is in front of you on two long stick boys,
Yeah.
and you know
You're
fall
gonna hit the
into
stick
them.
boys before,
right? You
Okay,
can't,
the stick boys are gonna come in contact.
exactly.
I see what you're
so
saying.
unless she like
And you never want to
broke
cross stick
both
boys.
of her fucking ankles and flattened, like
Yeah,
that's the
flew
only
him at, like, a
way.
45-degree angle or
that's
some
the only
shit.
way it was gonna happen.
But,
Okay.
like apparently, like skis and like ski shoes, apparently like they do have like a release mechanism in case something like that happens.
Oh, in case your long boys get like tangled or some shit.
But both of their skis were fully intact, like after they collided.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did he say all of his damages were?
that he had 4 broken ribs and a TBI, traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. You're not even that far off the ground. Like, how did that much happen to you?
He also had osteoporosis.
Well, then he shouldn't be skiing.
was-
I'm sorry.
I think at the time of the accident, I think he was 67 years old.
That's on him.
And he also had brain issues before.
That's also on.
He's just-
Why are you on the slopes, bro?
I think he's just
What are you doing?
I think
and
he's just a crazy dude with money.
And he was blind in one eye. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This guy, I'm starting to think that maybe this
He
guy's
full
on
of
some
shit.
bullshit. Yeah.
He full of shit.
Yeah. But okay, so I guess I'll back up a little. The thing about this is that Terry doesn't actually remember what happened, and like nothing that anyone says about like his side of how the crash occurred, like there's no like solid like this is exactly what happened. This is exactly how it happened. But with Gwyneth Paltrow, she knows exactly what happened, and
Yeah.
she tells it
That
exactly
is,
how it happened.
That is insane to not remember something and be like,
I'm gonna sue
but
you.
the way that I imagine it happened is the way that it happened for sure. Which is like,
Yeah.
nigga,
It's
what?
okay. I think it's okay to feel that it happened. Like you feel like it happened that way, and that's fine. But to sue somebody when you can't remember,
And also to sue somebody like because you went boom at a ski resort. Shut up.
thank you. Stay off the slopes.
Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got 3 broken ribs, dog. Come on now.
And that was part of her counsel's argument was like that there are inherent risks of skiing. So even if this did happen, that doesn't necessarily like
I mean, I owe you money, dog.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. All right. So Someone want to let the dog out?
I got it.
You're such an asshole, dude. Oh, God. Jesse, why do you exist?
All right, so Craig Ramon, like, he first testifies to Terry's lawyer, Mr. Sykes. And he describes Terry as an acquaintance, not a good friend. He and Mr. Sykes measure the courtroom with a tape measurer to show how far away he was from the accident when it occurred.
That's hilarious.
Which, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. And it was just very, very clumsy. And, like you could, like, hear the tape measure. And, like, they just
But he didn't see it.
Right.
So, what the fuck does it matter?
They were pulling out literally anything of their asses that they possibly could. Like, they were just doing literally anything that they could to have a case.
I see.
Because they didn't really have a good case. Mr. Sykes can't stop coughing. Okay, Mr. Sykes said, describe Eric Christensen's level of hostility. And, okay, so what he's referring to is when Craig is, like, at the accident, and Eric Christensen comes over to the accident because he's the ski instructor that's, like, nearby. He comes over to like, after, like, they fall down, and he's, like, trying to help them out. Terry, like, claims that Eric was just yelling at him and like, wasn't helping him at all. And so that's why Mr. Sykes says, describe Eric Christensen's level of hostility to the jury. And Craig says, he was very hostile. And then Sykes says, describe it. And Craig says, he was just yelling. Okay, I just wrote, like, I don't think that, like, this sounds realistic of someone who's, like, working at a ski resort. Like Craig said that Terry was, like, face down in the snow and Eric was just yelling at him. And, like, I just can't imagine that, like, an employee at the scene of an accident, no matter who caused it, if someone's laying face down in the snow, supposedly, like, why would you just be yelling at them?
Why would you just be yelling at them?
Yeah.
What could you even possibly be yelling at them? What have you done?
That's basically.
Like, what were you yelling at?
Why are you on the slopes? The same thing I've been yelling this entire time.
I was gonna say, maybe if it was a black ski resort, I could definitely see somebody being like, "Nigga, what the fuck was you even doing out here, you old ass?" That's what you get. That is exactly what you get. That'd be me.
We should open a ski slope, and then you can just do that.
So I could just yell, because what was you doing? You know you wasn't supposed to be out here. And you
I would go skiing then. That sounds like fun.
You only got one eye. What the fuck? Come on.
So
osteoporosis ass.
Right. You know your bones are soft. Why are you out here?
Go drink some milk.
Are you out here? Your bones are soft, dude.
Exactly.
It's so good.
So Craig said that Eric Christensen was the one who told him Gwyneth Paltrow took out your buddy. And then Terry's lawyer is like, you know, make sure you're saying the right order of names here. And then Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer, like, objects to that. And he says, let's make sure that Craig's the one testifying, not the lawyer. And then, like, my next note is just that when he's being cross-examined by Owens asks for clarification. What did Eric Christensen say? And then Craig said, your buddy took out Gwyneth Paltrow. So even that, like, he can't get right. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Craig was also colorblind, and he said that he actually couldn't tell Terry and Gwyneth apart.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
One's a short dude.
And one's a tall lady.
And one's a tall, and they're both white.
Yeah.
So I don't. What are you talking about?
Owens asks him if he and Terry are friends on Facebook, and Craig says, "No, we're just acquaintances."
That's pretty good.
And
No, I might start using
That's
that.
hilarious.
Actually, that's great.
and they go back and forth about
people
that.
you may know. That's the acquaintances on Facebook.
They go back and forth about that, and then finally Craig is like, "Oh yeah, in that case, we're friends on Facebook." In his deposition, which is like when they're talked to before the trial, Craig said that Terry could talk to a wall for 3.5 hours and have a good conversation.
Wow,
that's the kind of guy he was.
What kind of guy is that? Just likes to hear himself talk.
Yeah,
I hate those people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, there's a difference. Like, there's your chatty friend, and then there's that person that just won't shut the fuck up.
So before I go any further, I think maybe I should talk a little bit more about all the people involved and what their character is like.
Yes.
Okay. Terry was actually an eye doctor. And just has a very pretentious, doctor vibe of I'm right about everything. And okay, and so his lawyers are if you were watching a movie and you saw lawyers of the people who were suing the other people, it's very classic behavior. There's very unlikable and argumentative, and they just don't seem very nice people. You know what I mean? I don't really know how to explain that. But they're just rude ass bitches.
They're the bad guys and the bad lawyers in Law and Order. Is that what you're saying?
They're the lawyers you don't like.
Yeah.
And then Gwyneth Paltrow, I mean, I think we all know who she is and what she's like. Which I think she's also pretentious. But it's in a better way because she's actually usually right and reasonable.
No,
I just think that she carries herself better in in a way that's more agreeable. She's not argumentatively pretentious.
She also shoves rocks up her coochie.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She is actually the worst.
She's definitely super weird.
No, that's not what I said. I said the worst.
I know
worst.
what you said.
How much did that pussy candle go for? I've been waiting. I've been wanting to bring this up the whole time.
White woman. It's boiling. If you put in a pot all of the worst white lady traits, that is the form.
It's white woman demi-glace. When you cook down the stock into a demi-glace.
Right. Concentrated.
Just the essence of white woman.
The essence of white woman, dude. She sucks.
I don't know.
She sucks ass.
Everyone says that, but honestly, I think she's fine. I think she's totally likable and level-headed in her own weird world. You know what I mean?
Right. No. I get what you're saying. I'm saying that
she sold those vaginal steam kits that hurt people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good.
I don't even give a fuck about that. I don't it's just profiting off of woo and Eastern medicine. That's that shit I hate. I cannot. Just selling people lies and steam. Fuck you, dude.
And quartz. Nice rose quartz. You can stick up your ass.
Sure.
Anyway, her lawyers are really nice, and Owens is kind of dopey and stumbles over his words a lot, mispronounces things a lot, loses his train of thought a lot.
I feel that.
Gang.
But he's still he's sweet and likable. And then her other lawyer, James Egan, is just the best one out of everyone involved, because he's the only normal, reasonable, well presented guy in the entire case, and he's also the youngest one. And he looks like Superman.
Nice.
Yeah,
with the dollop.
I know what you're talking about.
I believe so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love the dollop. Gotta have the dollop.
Gotta have it.
Yep.
If I go for a consultation with an attorney and he's got the dollop, I'm hiring that man on the spot.
Absolutely. He's there for honor, truth, and justice.
We'll include a
In the
link to a
American
picture
way.
of the dollop in the description.
Also, okay, so Terry gets like choked up a lot, like when he's on the stand, like he does this thing, like, you know, like anytime you mention something that's like could be an appropriate response to, like, he seems like he's going to cry.
Interesting.
So he's like,
I don't like that.
manipulating their emotion, or like trying to manipulate people's emotions.
Do you feel sympathy when you see people cry?
It
It
depends
what
on the
they're crying
situation
about.
and the person.
Yeah.
If it's a person who I know has a who will habitually like fake cry, or who I suspect of fake crying, no. But like, if you were to come to me, I would be like, "Yo, there's a fuck." I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen you cry.
3.
Yeah,
Oh.
like 3.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's all, you can tell when someone is genuinely crying,
Yeah.
and when they're not. So like, just the act of crying doesn't really.
Yeah, I feel
Get
like we
my
as
goat.
the humans are like very good at that.
Yeah,
right?
like the nose gets all red,
Yeah.
and like the eyes get puffy. We know but like, I can't stand like a dabber. Like, that annoys me when people cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop. Just let it go, dog. I don't know. It's bothering me.
Yeah. And also his two of his daughters testify. He has 3 daughters, and one of them doesn't. I'll get into that more later.
That says all you need to know, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But his 2 daughters that do testify, they also do that thing where they get choked up a lot, like about any little thing.
They just wanted to be in a room with Gwyneth Paltrow. Because when else are they going to be in a room with Gwyneth Paltrow?
Maybe they'll get some
And they're
free
like,
goop.
they're like, you know, for several days you get to be in a room with Gwyneth Paltrow. So.
That's Pepper Potts, dog.
I mean, I don't think that they were. I think they were only in the room when they testified. But there was
I
a lot
wouldn't
of that.
testify
Terry
then.
wasn't even in the room for most of the trial. He was only there when he testified, and I think for a little bit after.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And he said that he didn't want to be there when his daughters testified because he didn't like want to make them feel like they couldn't speak honestly. Because like they did say some bad things about him, but it was mostly like to prove his case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, he's blind as fuck out of that eye.
Well, no, that would have been against his case because he was blind before the accident.
Oh, he was. Yeah. Well, that's.
Yeah.
Isn't. Oh. Yeah, you're right. That doesn't help his case.
No, it doesn't.
How does he have a case?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
That's ludicrous.
Insane.
Everything is ludicrous.
And when Gwyneth Paltrow testifies, like, she's basically just like, I'm telling you, this is what actually happened, and that's it. And, like, she's not, like, emotional about it at all. Like, she's just, like, being honest. She's like, this is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, she's not really, like, trying to manipulate anyone. She's just like, this is dumb, and I want to get out of here. Anyway, dude, I have so much to go through. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible, and I'm really sorry.
I don't like anybody in this story.
Yeah.
It's rough. He sucks. She sucks.
They suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, the next witness to the stand is Carlene Davidson, who is Terry's ex-girlfriend.
Oh shit.
They were together before the accident for 18 months. And then after the accident, he felt like a cheesy gordita crunch with extra spicy ranch.
And the fucking crunch wrap sucks.
All right, my story's
I
really
agree.
long, so
I just want to get this out. It's like they fold over the tortilla, and then the whole thing is like a third tortilla. The crunch wrap is bullshit.
right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 110%.
All right, so she says before the accident, He was very kind, loving, adventurous, and he always volunteered and like did events and stuff. And she said she had a hard time keeping up with him. She said she couldn't actually tell that he was blind in one eye, and he was not clumsy, and he was a good driver. And she said after the accident, when he came home, I guess he looked like he had been hit by a truck.
DoorDashing Taco
And she
Bell.
said, quote, he was a very sore Jose.
I'll take a burrito.
Like a 5 layer. Sure. So good.
Damn, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Are you going to pay for it? She said he was cranky and had no joy left in his life, and he pushed her away. He became aggravated, mean to her dog, easily frustrated.
Do they have those...
And she said
like,
he had always
you can only
hid
get
his
like
medical conditions from her prior to the accident.
I don't know.
Probably.
So that being said, it is possible that he already had issues that she didn't know about
or whatever thing.
That's all right.
Cheesy beef burrito.
I don't know what it is. I had it with that. Okay, that's basically the end
that
of
sounds
her
like a thing.
testimony.
I feel like I've had a beef
For my end of day
burrito.
notes, before they leave, the judge tells Mr. Sykes, take care of that cough.
Beef burrito is-
And Mr. Sykes says, I'm
It
trying to
does.
go back
funny.
to the
Beefarito was my nickname in high school.
Yeah, that's true. That part's
poignant.
true.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's a lot of Siggies.
Can I get? They make a lot of a cheesy
jokes
gordita
like
crunch
that.
with extra
Layers
spicy
of
ranch.
I love the cheesy gordita crunch, man. That's a good one.
All right, day
That might be
2.
the
The
best
first
thing they've
witness
ever
is
done.
Dr. Wendell Arlen
Yeah.
Gibby.
I don't like a
I didn't write anything
What's
other
better
than
than the cheesy
you can
gordita
tell
crunch?
he's definitely a nerd.
Name me one
by his
thing.
name.
nachos.
Nacho. They're
Mexican
nacho.
pizza.
Wendell
They're
Arlen
Mexican
Gibby.
pizza bullshit.
Fiesta
Yeah.
potatoes.
Yeah. Those Fiesta potatoes
then-
are bullshit.
The next witness
What did
that
you ask
day,
for, Stacey?
actually, the
cheesy
only other
gordita
witness
crunch
that
with
day,
extra spicy ranch.
And
is Sam
The
Goldstein,
fucking crunch wrap sucks.
who's like a Jewish doctor. All right,
need
my
to-
story's
I
really
agree.
long, so
I just want to get this out.
Wow.
It's like they fold over the tortilla, and then the whole thing is like
is that
a third
racist? Did I not say
tortilla.
that? I don't know.
No. It
It's a crunch wrap. It's
That's mostly
bullshit.
what it was.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
At one
I
point,
agree
when
110%.
they're talking about stuff, and the lawyer says, "Why is this important to you?" And Goldstein says, "Well, it's more important for you than it is to me." I just thought that was funny.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Dr. Goldstein's records show that before the accident, he did have pre-existing conditions that weren't giving him problems, but after the accident, they started to.
That doesn't make sense to me, though. Okay, so you have pre-existing conditions. Why then are you doing a thing that could potentially result in the exacerbation of those pre-existing conditions?
Which is
Case
exactly-
closed.
That's exactly what he did, yeah.
Like, why are we still here? Why is it that complicated?
It's not, but they take 8 days to figure that out.
Jesus.
Yeah. All right, day 3. Gwyneth's lawyer asks if it's all right if her private security brings in treats for everyone.
God damn it, Gwyneth Paltrow.
And-
This is what I'm talking about, though. That's the shit. That's hinky. That's like fishy.
It's definitely white lady shit.
Yeah.
And Terry's counsel objects to this. They say if you wanted to do that, you should have asked us first. And Owen said, I just did. That's what I was doing right now.
I don't like it.
That is slimy of a thing to do.
thank
Come
you.
on now.
Unless it's
And also, the case is like open and shut, dog. So why are you even doing this?
yeah. I feel like you're hurting your own. You're making it seem like there's smoke when there's no smoke.
When there's no smoke, it's unnecessary.
yeah.
Well, can I just say, though, that, like, I don't know if you guys have ever actually witnessed, like, a trial. And, like, I know I wasn't there, but I did watch all of the footage. And it's an event. It's like you are living your life for an entire, like, 1 or 2 weeks just with these people doing this thing. And so I don't necessarily think she was trying to, like, do anything, like, in her
Yeah, I guess
favor.
it
I
doesn't
think she
even-
was just trying to, like, add a little levity.
I'm sure, but I guess it doesn't matter. My point is, it doesn't matter what her intent was. I'm
Right.
sure
You
her
know how
intent was that
that
it was
looks,
innocuous,
dog.
but like
Yeah.
it looks not great.
Right. All right. So the first witness on day 3 on day 3, right? Yeah. Is Alina Fong, and she's a neuropsychologist. Yeah, she said that Terry did, in fact, sustain a concussion from the accident.
I believe her.
Yeah. And she says the term mild traumatic brain injury does not mean that the symptoms are not severe. It means that the brain injury is not life-threatening.
They should probably call it something else.
Right.
Medical terminology is dumb.
Yeah, they also had another argument that I didn't write down. Like later in the trial, it was like normal hydrocephalus or something like that. And like, the word normal seems like it means like this is how the human brain would normally be, but that's actually not what it means at all to have normal like
so it's like a bad thing
It's a bad
when it
thing.
sounds like this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's dumb as shit.
I think it's by design.
She said that he did have depression before the accident. She's annoyed and she clearly doesn't have time for this. She said, "I don't think you appreciate how busy I am."
I love doctors sometimes.
Because why the fuck am I here for this?
Yeah, she should be out saving lives or some shit, like doing important research or something,
Yeah.
Instead she's got to deal with this fucking bullshit.
Yeah, like Terry's only one of her patients, and it wouldn't be fun to just like have to like argue about it with someone.
Yeah.
Like she's saying like, yes, this is how Terry's brain is, this is how he was injured.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, I could have
She's-
wrote a statement.
She's got like hot Asian lady stuff to do, and instead she's stuck in this court.
Gwyneth's lawyer tries to insinuate that the only information Alina has in regards to Terry's brain injuries is from speaking with Terry. And Alina's like, "You want to criticize me, bitch? I spent more time with him than any of you guys."
Did she really say that?
No, but that's like in not those words she did. Okay, so now Terry's daughter Polly is cross-examined by Sykes, Terry's lawyer. At one point, Terry had a yoga instructor that he had been taking classes with before the accident. And then after the accident, she had asked Terry to stop coming to her classes because he was making her really uncomfortable. And he kept coming even after she asked him to stop. And so she called Polly, Terry's daughter, and was like, "Hey, please tell your dad to stop coming."
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know, because like his personality changed. Like he was just like,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
being a creepy.
I mean, that shit
annoying old man
happens.
now.
Yeah.
She also talks about how there was a time when they were like their grandparents had died, and this was like after the accident, and they were like cleaning out their house, and it was like her and her sister Jenny and their dad, and she said that like she had gone to a back room to meditate to like clear her head, and in that time she heard her dad yelling at Jenny, and like she said that like she didn't know what the issue was, but she had never witnessed anything like that from him before, and this happened after the accident. So now she's being cross-examined by Owens, and Owens asks about Jenny, and like it turns out that she was supposed to be at the trial, but she didn't come, even though people offered to pay for her to come. And in her deposition, she had basically said that her dad was always abusive to her. And so like there's definitely speculation as to like, did her family ask her not to come to the trial? Like, did she, like maybe she felt so uncomfortable, like she didn't want to shit talk her dad in front of everybody.
Yeah, and I also find it interesting that the sister is like, he just started yelling at my sister and he's never done that before. And she's like, no, he's kind of always been a dick to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if she just didn't want to come to the trial because, like, fuck them people. Fuck the people.
That might be what it is. But Polly said that she has a mental illness. Gwyneth's counsel, like, doesn't really want her to, like, go into that because, quote, they think that that's, like, inappropriate because she's not there to speak for herself. Which I agree, but also, they don't want her to talk about that because it kind of ruins their case of Jenny saying that he sucks.
But you can't just do, can you? I mean, I guess you can just do that, but you can make up anything. You know what I mean? Like, if you're talking about her mental health, like, you can just say, like, oh, she's paranoid, because, like, that could have absolutely nothing to do, and she's not there to be like, that has nothing to do with what the fuck I feel about my daddy. Like, yeah, you can't just bring up somebody's mental health issues to call into question that you were an abusive dad their whole life. Like, what?
Like, the two things can be true.
Right.
But that actually is what it is, that Jenny is schizophrenic.
Oh, damn.
So you got that one. Owens asks if Terry assaulted a guy because he believed that his wife cheated on him. And Polly's just like, I don't know, I wasn't there.
Okay.
Owens says that Terry was easy to anger before the accident, and that's why he was seeing a therapist. And Polly says, I don't recall. Not everyone goes to a therapist for their interpersonal difficulties. Do you agree? Like, that's what Owen's saying. And Polly says, I agree, but the smart ones do.
That's funny.
Yeah, which is right. Owens asks Polly if their dad is anal retentive. Polly says, I don't actually know what that word means. Owens says, well, it has nothing to do with our bottoms, right? And Polly says, well, it has the word anal in it. The next witness to the stand is Richard Bain. I guess he's a neurologist. And he basically claims that there's no other way that Terry could have sustained his injuries other than if Gwyneth hit him. But, I mean, I think that that's an insane thing to say, just because Gwyneth's whole thing is, like, he comes in behind her, they're going downhill, and, like, there's, like, if you're sliding downhill, you're gonna fall backwards. So if he's behind her, she would have fallen on him, so he would have hit the ground, and she would have fallen on him, which would explain all of his injuries. But he's saying, no, this couldn't have happened any other way than if she hit him, which is, like, really dumb. All right, so trial day 4. The first witness to the stand is Mark Harris. I wrote he's actually not the first witness, but I didn't have anything else to say before. So Mark Harris is Terry's daughter's husband's brother. He used to be a storm chaser, which is unrelated, but I just thought that was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. He said he used to be close to Terry before the accident, but not anymore. He said hitting someone on a ski slope and running away from the scene of the accident is just like a hit and run. He doesn't know the laws in Utah, which is where it happened, but he knows that it's a serious offense. And this upsets Gwyneth's counsel because it had already been ruled that they couldn't say in court that it was a hit and run, because it wasn't. Because what had happened was, even though Gwyneth Paltrow didn't leave her own information for Terry, she was still there a few minutes later, and Eric Christensen, who the guy that was there was working for her, said that he would leave her information. So it wasn't like she just hit him and left. It was like they crashed and she just didn't fill out any paperwork. She had someone else do it. Mark says that Terry is no longer enjoyable to be around because he's confused a lot and paranoid and anxious. All right.
So are you thinking that, because something did happen to his brain?
This is what I've been thinking the whole time. I think, to me, I feel like, dude, he's already said he doesn't remember. He probably just felt, because sometimes if you're skiing and you already got osteoporosis in one eye and shit, you might fall, and he probably fucking hit his head, and maybe Gwyneth Paltrow slipped over him or something. I don't know, but clearly something happened. But it sounds like I don't think Gwyneth Paltrow had anything to do with this. I hate to say it.
Yeah, sometimes you do just fall.
Yeah,
it's a fucked up shit happened because you fell.
Because you're really skiing.
Yeah,
and you're old. Stop it.
You're old.
Stop it. I was talking to Mom about this. I feel like people should be euthanized at 70.
No.
Okay, 80.
But shuffled into a home with soft padding. Absolutely.
It's some strong medication.
Right. Take them out to the farm.
Hell yeah. I can't wait.
He did actually hit her. That did actually happen.
He actually hit her. So it's damn.
Yeah.
But he hit her, not she hit him.
Right.
So, yeah, sometimes you just fall.
Yeah, into Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. And then you sue her. All right, so the next witness to the stand is Shay Harith, which is Terry's other daughter. Right off the bat, she cries about how her boss just died.
Why do you care? Good. Congratulations.
Wow,
Yeah.
Jesse. Okay, we're being a little bold.
No, fuck the Capitol owner. And fuck middle management.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can understand crying because your boss died.
I can too, but it's just like a common behavior between both her and Polly. Like, they just always be on the edge of tears.
Just emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Terry. So that's why I think it's a manipulation tactic. She also cries about the fact that she has kids.
What?
Yeah. Like, because she was saying, like, well, I had young children around this time, and, like, she, like, tears up about it.
Oh, well, that kind of makes sense. I would cry, too.
All right.
So they show a lot of things, like, on, like, a projector, including emails, just, like, between, like, Terry and his daughters and everything. And she's like, you know, when you guys put these things up on the projector, everyone in the world then has our email. So can you please white out our emails? Which,
Yeah.
they
Fair.
definitely...
Yeah, that's fair.
They definitely should have done that from the beginning. And then she tells a story about an interaction between her dad and her 6-year-old daughter after the accident, where her daughter is, like, getting in her van and Terry's trying to shut, like, the slidey door. But it's not, like, in automatic. Like, it's, like, locked. And, like, the daughter's trying to explain to Terry, like, you have to wait for my mom to, like, push the button for it to work. And Terry just, like, yells at her. And he's like, I'm the adult here. I know what I'm doing. And he, like, just, like, tries with all of his might to, like, close the door that's, like, locked in place.
What a based moment. Have you ever seen an angry adult who's condescended at you? Like,
It's literally that sketch from I Think
so
You Should
good.
Leave, where he's leaving the job interview and he tries to pull the push door.
yeah, and he just forces it. Yeah, that's so good.
So, and, like, she said that after that interaction, her 6-year-old daughter, like, does not like him at all.
Yeah, no, of course not.
I just want to say, like, I feel like he already was this person,
Yeah.
but his brain injuries
Just turned it up to 11.
Exacerbated it to where, like, now he just doesn't have any impulse control.
Yeah.
So Owens asks her this really stupid question. He says, are you saying that everything about your dad's personality was good before the accident and everything about his personality was bad after the accident? And she was like, no.
Absolutely not.
What an insane thing to draw from this.
Yeah, what a weird. Who the fuck is asking these questions?
That's not what we're determining here. It just, has it changed? Has it, like,
Yeah.
is it different?
Yeah. And he asks her if she's staying with her dad, like, during the trial. And she makes a joke about how he's running an Airbnb. And it, like, doesn't come across as a joke. It just sounds like he's actually running an Airbnb.
That's funny.
Oh, he asks, how many years ago did you live with him? And this is, like, a 50-year-old woman. He asks about her response to the accident, like, from an email that they sent, where she says, I'm glad you're okay. And she's like, what? Like, he's like, well, if you said you're glad he's okay, then he was okay. And she was like, no, I was saying I'm glad you're alive, but, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm happy you didn't die, Dad. He asks about, like, her deposition, if she said that $3 million seems like a lot. She said, I don't remember saying that, but if you say that it's in my deposition, then I trust you. And he says, oh, thank you, I accept your trust. And she also talks about how when she was younger, Terry would drive while reading a book all the time, which is an insane thing to do for any kind of person.
Dude, I My ex's mom used to like read mail while driving. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
How chaotic is your life?
Yeah. Like, mail's not that hard to read. You just take it out of the mailbox and look
Right,
at
you
it.
could wait, because like
Any other time.
because it was this really small town, and they had like a PO box instead of like everybody in the town had a PO box. She would go pick up the damn mail, and then we'd be like on our way to the store, and then she would just read the mail. And it's like we could have just sat at the post office for you to go
Waited till
through.
you one or the other. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
dog. What are you doing?
I hate these people. I hate all of these people so much.
So, during, like, I guess, like, while Shay was emailing with her dad, I guess, like, he had mentioned, like, that there was GoPro footage of the accident.
Uh-huh.
And, so, like, they asked her about that. And she, like, because she had said, like, oh, I'm so glad there's a GoPro. But, like, in evidence, like, nowhere was there
Is there GoPro
a
footage?
GoPro footage.
Whose GoPro was it?
I don't know, but like that's just like kind of what it was like the email was kind of confusing about that. So like he didn't necessarily say like, "Oh, I have a video of this." It was more just like, "I think there's a video of this."
This is hinky as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if there was GoPro footage and it wasn't entered into evidence,
That would be criminal, right?
no, but it would just mean that it didn't show anything in his favor. So now, finally, Gwyneth Paltrow takes the stand.
Oh, God.
And she is cross-examined by Kristen. She basically asks her if she knew, like, the rules of skiing and, like, not to leave the scene of an accident without leaving her information. And Gwyneth is like, I mean, Eric left my information for me and I didn't leave right away. And they just, like, go back and forth about this forever. She's like, so because your kids were there, you weren't engaged in any risky behavior? And Gwyneth is just like, I mean, I don't really engage in risky behavior whether or not my kids are around.
She's
Yeah,
fucking
what does
Gwyneth
that have to do
Paltrow.
with anything?
I don't know. It's like I don't know. She's just like grasping at straws. And
Do you think she's like doing heroin? Like,
right?
Yeah, like what are you talking? I'm on a ski trip. Nobody just engages in. And what do you mean by risky behaviors? What
I
are we
think she means
talking
just
about?
like skiing unsafely.
Unsafely?
Yeah.
Oh, good grief. Okay.
And Kristen kind of tells on herself because she's like, well, I know that when my kids were young, I would definitely behave differently in front of them. And Gwyneth Paltrow was just like, okay, well, that's you.
what does that mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because also, like, yes, when my kids are present, I do behave differently. When my kids aren't present, I do behave differently, but that's because, like, they're kids. That
kids.
goes without saying.
Yeah.
They're kids.
Yeah.
Why would I be behaving my full adult self around children?
She asks Gwyneth Paltrow to step down off the stand to reenact the crash, quote, to get a good feel. And obviously Gwyneth Paltrow's counsel objects to this, unfortunately, because that would have been great to watch. And then they have to like go to the bench to talk to the judge about it. And then after they break, Kristen brings it up again, and she's like, well, your counsel didn't want for you to have to come down here. And then Gwyneth's counsel is like, no, like, don't say what we want. It's what the judge decided.
Right.
And then she's like, or Owens is like, if you want, Bob can help you out. And like, Bob is one of Terry's counsel, Bob Sykes. And then Bob kind of yells and he's like, why don't you have him do it? And then the judge is basically just like, you know, Kristen, if you want to like move around the courtroom, if it'll help you out, you can do that, but no one else has to be involved. in
Yeah.
this.
You can't just volunteer people for your weird ass bullshit.
Yeah. Basically how Gwyneth says that the accident happened, like she's just skiing along and then all of a sudden she feels like a man like pressed up against
Horrifying.
her back.
Horrifying.
And she like sees like two skis go in between
No,
her
horrifying.
skis.
It's so gross, dude.
And he's like making little grunting noises.
Nope. No.
And so like
And he's old. Oh, no.
yeah.
No.
With those jelly bones too.
Oh my God.
And she said like for a second there, like I wasn't sure what was going on. She was thinking like, am I being sexually assaulted while I'm skiing?
I feel sexually assaulted listening to what she experienced.
Yeah. And then she said that like they caught an edge and then they fell over. And then she like got up and then like she yelled at him. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Yeah.
Because what the
believe
fuck
her.
were you doing? Because did you not see me? You know what I mean?
No, he didn't because he's blind in one eye.
Because he's blind.
Yeah.
You should never be that close to, like, that shouldn't be happening, dog. That's so gross.
It is gross.
Ugh.
But
Ew.
because she had such a clear account of what actually happened, like obviously hers is the one.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
an open and shut case.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Yeah. They shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been.
No.
Oh, so Kristen asks if Gwyneth asked Harry if he was hurt, and Gwyneth says, "I'm sorry, what was your name?" And then
Didn't she do that to someone on the set of the Avengers? It was I want to say it was the kid who played Spider-Man or something.
Probably Tom Holland. That's funny.
and then she just like explains that like when you're the victim in an accident, you're not necessarily thinking right away like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like she was just mad. Kristen asks if Gwyneth Paltrow is suing for $1 because that's what Taylor Swift did in her sexual assault case. And Gwyneth is basically like, well, I didn't actually know about that like until after like the proceedings of this trial when someone else told me about that.
Taylor Swift also did not invent the concept of countersuing for $1. That's
Right.
like a thing.
Right. And Kristen is like, but aren't you good friends with Taylor Swift? And Gwyneth is like, no, I wouldn't say we're really good friends. Like, we're friendly.
What's happening?
Right.
What is this?
And then Kristen's like, but didn't you buy her a Christmas present?
What does that have to do with what we're doing right now?
I feel like this is just like they know they have Gwyneth Paltrow hostage for a little bit.
So now they
they're
just
like,
need to find out
so
the
you're friends with
lifestyle
Taylor Swift, right?
of the rich and the famous type
What did you get her
deal.
for Christmas?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Exactly.
I bet it was a candle.
And Owens objects, and he's like, I mean, ask her about Oprah. What's going on?
Because
so then-
what is happening?
Wait, so
Yeah.
but did she talk about Oprah?
No.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, so that's all that I wrote down for that part of it. And so now she is cross-examined by her own lawyer, Owens. At one point, he tries to say the word anonymity, but he can't.
That's a tough one to say.
Yeah,
Anonymity.
but it's cute though
Anonymity.
to see a lawyer try to say.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to day 5. Owens says that there have been cameras pointed directly at Gwyneth Paltrow, like when she was just like sitting in the court, like not when she was on the stand, and like they were like following her like in and out of the courtroom. And he's like, can we please not have this be happening anymore? And the judge is basically like, yeah, that's definitely inappropriate, and like that, we'll be sure not to let that happen anymore. But throughout the rest of the trial, it just continues to happen.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And nothing is resolved.
what do we expect people to really do?
What
It's
else do we really want from this situation
Right.
other than to
It's-
look at Gwyneth
it's about
Paltrow?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Even though she's not like really saying or doing
And it's also like that's the only reason this nigga is suing is because of the spectacle, and it's Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
as fucked up as this is going to sound, that's the reason why Gwyneth Paltrow exists, is to kind of be looked
is
at.
the
and-
spectacle.
Yeah, like that's what Gwyneth Paltrow is.
the main character in this situation.
a person outside of the trial found new evidence. Like I think they like hacked one of the emails because they had like been showing the email addresses, and it was admissible in court.
Interesting.
That's wild that
Yeah.
is admissible in court, but
wild.
okay.
But basically all that it was just like a conversation between Craig Ramone, Terry, and some guy named Scott, where they were just like...
It's always some motherfucker named Scott.
Yeah, they were just like bullshit talking about what happened. So Craig Ramone has to take the stand again to talk about all of this. Basically, like in the messages, he talks a lot about Gwyneth Paltrow and like the hotel that she was staying at during the time of the accident, and like what airport she was coming in and out of. Like they were basically just like, why did you know this?
Why did you know that?
Yeah.
That's so creepy.
Yeah, like that's basically all that happened with that.
Okay.
Sorry.
I really hate like this like fetishization of
Yeah,
like celebrity.
man.
It's really gross.
All right, so finally Terry is cross-examined. And in his version of what happened, he said that he heard a blood-curdling scream as if someone were skiing out of control.
Wow.
Please.
Shut up.
And then he got hit in the back.
That's so funny.
I'm sorry. We just rewatched the original House on Haunted Hill starring Vincent Price, and like the lead female, like the lead actress. Well, I guess she's a supporting actress, but like 90% of her lines are just her seeing something
screaming.
and going ah and running out of the room, and it's the funniest shit. Like if you get a chance, rewatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
The original House on Haunted Hill.
I
It's
love a
great.
good screamer. It's the second Indiana Jones movie. No. Is it the second one? There's a lady who's most of what she does is
It's just running and screaming.
running and screaming.
I love that. I wish I could bag that role. Sorry, Stacey.
I could do it.
Okay. So he basically claims that he remembers everything that happened, but he also claims that he was unconscious for several minutes, and he's just like going through like all of the thoughts that he was having and everything that he was hearing around him
While he was unconscious?
Yeah.
Does he know what unconscious means?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
What does unconscious mean?
But basically, he like contradicts himself by claiming he was unconscious for several minutes, and then also claiming that Eric Christensen was yelling at him, and that like Eric Christensen like yanked him up, and just like all this stuff. And he says that like that no one wanted to help him. They yelled at him and then just like left him there to his own devices. That the only person that was there to help him was Craig Ramone. But that's just not at all what happened. Like, because Eric Christensen was there, he got him up. Eric Christensen said that he couldn't have just like jerked him up off the ground, because Eric Christensen is actually like an elderly fellow. He was like, I would have broken my back. He was like, I think I just
That's
like
so
lended him a
funny.
hand, and he got up. And Eric Christensen also had said that like there was more ski patrol that came by because there had been an accident to check on him. And at that point, he said that he was okay.
So he signed off on himself then and there, right? Like that's it.
Yeah.
Case is done. The case that should have been done. Wait, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, maybe not with like brain injury,
That's fair.
but he also said he had 3 broken ribs, and that I feel like you would know directly afterward.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so now he's being cross-examined by his own attorney, which I think is Bueller. Oh, he writes an email to his daughters about the girl that actually did help him, because a little while later, like when he's trying to still ski down the mountain with Craig, like Craig's helping him out, and then he realizes like, oh, I'm actually really hurt. I do need help. And so then they call like for more ski patrol. So there's this girl, Whitney, who works for ski patrol, who comes to help him, and she like is like asking him like all of these questions, like doing like a brain test on him kind of thing.
Sure.
And it just like really helps him out. And so he like writes like an email to his daughters later, like with a picture of Whitney. And yeah, I don't know. Like that's just like part of it.
If I were going to have somebody like, if I were going to have an injury on a ski slope, I would want to be rescued by somebody named Whitney. I think that seems like a good.
Oh, dude, she was so sweet.
It sounds like a sweet the name of a sweet person.
No, she was actually at the trial. Like,
really?
Yeah, she's one of the witnesses. Yeah,
I love a Whitney.
She was very like nice and normal. And he said that after the accident, he was basically a vegetable. He had a big orange chair that he would sit in and nap for 12 hours a day.
Why are you complaining, dog?
He's asked, have you had any anger issues? He said, I have a much wider range of temperament than I had before. Okay, so, like, before the accident, like, he would, like, travel a lot and, like, do all kinds of events and stuff. And so his lawyer asked, do you still do those same things after the accident? Like, he's like, I still travel, but I need someone to come along. I misspell things, and my foot wants to do its own thing. He said he had a trip planned with his yoga instructor, and she said, I don't want to go. I don't like you anymore.
That is wild that she agreed at all to go
On a trip with him.
I mean,
on a trip with him.
It was pretty transparent as to what's going on there. I'd be like,
This 67-year-old man is just busting down yoga instructors.
yeah, he's got money, clearly. That's why I don't like anything, because they all have money. He's got money.
Right.
She has money. Why? Why do you have to have each other's money? Or why does he want Gwyneth Paltrow's money? He clearly has his own money.
All right, so now he's being cross-examined by Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer. The lawyer asks if he was 175 pounds and 5'8" during the time of the accident, and he said, I just found that out. What? I don't know. So he had changed the amount of time that he was unconscious a few times. It like ranged between like a few seconds to 2 minutes to 10 minutes.
God damn.
Like, yeah, these were things that he had said at different times. And I guess Gwyneth Paltrow's attorney says that Terry said that he exaggerated so that his doctors would take it more seriously.
Why would you tell on yourself like that?
Right. He said that he wasn't there for part of the trial because he doesn't take criticism well.
Just the audacity of like, I'm not going to show up to this like trial that I initiated because I don't take
Right.
criticism well. What the fuck, bro?
Yeah, he definitely traveled a lot after the crash. Like, there was like a whole list of places that he had been.
So the only way his life really changed was that everyone thinks he's a dick now.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like everybody just kind of started to see him for what he was,
which
and
was
it
a
just so
dick.
happened to coincide with this accident that he
Yeah.
probably caused.
I think what had happened is he damaged his frontal lobe, and it.
Yeah, that's true. The neuroscientist, the neuropsychologist, did say there was like a change, right?
Yeah, there definitely was. Like, he definitely was injured in this ski crash for sure. But I think that like the real issue is that it made him more like himself.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any more impulse control.
Right.
He said that his doctor told him that if he had another ski accident, he could end up in a nursing home, so he shouldn't ski. So he went out and tried to ski again several more times.
This
to
is
see
what-
if he could do it.
So funny.
I have to remove myself.
He says, like, while he's testifying, that he's getting an adrenaline rush. And the lawyer asks, is this something you enjoy? And he's like, no, it's not the good kind.
It's because I'm lying, and I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Making me root for Gwyneth Paltrow is what I cannot stand about this.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying, is like, she's the good one in all of this. But it's because these are such terrible people. But yeah, he's very like long-winded and like tells a story pretty much anytime he's asked a question. The lawyer asks him how tall he is, but he says, how high are you? I mean, how tall are you? I wrote his own lawyer doesn't even seem to like him. And he's like asking him questions that seem to incriminate him more. Now, Eric Christensen testifies. These are new notes, so it should be easier for me to read. Yeah, I wrote, I totally pictured a handsome young man, but he was an old dude. He is an art teacher as well as a ski instructor.
I bet he was hot back in the day.
Probably. Oh, Owens is like cross-examining him, and he mentions Gwyneth Paltrow, but he said Miss Paltrow, like pal, like a pal, and he put his arm out. Christensen said that Terry was making large radius turns, and he said that both large radius turns and short radius turns are okay, but if you're doing large radius turns, you have to be really aware of your surroundings, which he apparently was not. So yeah, basically Eric's testimony of like the accident, like he only saw the aftermath of it. Terry was on the ground and Gwyneth was on top of him, and their heads were pointed like more towards the top of the mountain rather than the bottom of the mountain.
I see.
Which would suggest that Terry came behind and they slid. And Terry had also said to Eric during the time of the accident, quote, "She just appeared in front of me." So yeah, Eric says that Terry told him that he was okay and actually like refused help from both him and the other ski patrol while he was there. Oh, one of Terry's lawyers tries to object to Eric Christensen's entire testimony, basically saying that it was just his opinion. I also want to say another thing about how Terry and Craig, like, they claim to be like advanced skiers, and Gwyneth Paltrow claims to be an intermediate skier. And I just feel like the type of personality that like Craig and Terry are is like they want everyone to think that they're so great at everything.
For sure.
Oh, Eric said, okay, so Terry was like claiming that Eric yelled at him, and Eric said, "No, I can't yell. If I try to be very loud at all, I'll actually lose my voice," which actually makes sense for this guy, because if you hear him talk, he's like extremely soft-spoken and has like kind of a raspy voice. So I could definitely believe that he's not someone who could yell. And then Bueller, Terry's lawyer, asks him, but like if you're like instructing like other skiers, don't you have to like yell at them? He's like, what if one of the skiers like goes down the hill in front of you too far? Don't you have to yell at them and tell them to come back up the hill? And Eric says, well, you can't come back up the hill.
Yeah.
He was like, I would just have to just go down to where they're at and go from there.
Yeah, it's like, what am I going to say that's going to stop this from happening?
Yeah.
They're already going.
I don't think that man understands skiing.
No. And, but like Bueller, like he keeps pressing and like trying to like get him to admit that at some point in his life he does yell. And
at some point in your
That's
life,
so
you
crazy.
have raised your voice, correct? Gotcha.
and Eric says, I think this is getting a little bit silly. Yeah.
Is this when the trial starts to get silly? Like, is this the
I mean, it just already was.
tipping point, you know?
There's a progression, though.
There is. It, like, definitely escalates. When I think this can't get any more of, like,
Silly.
any more ridiculous,
Yeah.
you know, it does.
Eric, he talks about how like the ski patrol stopped to see if Terry was okay, and Bueller asks if there's a record of this, and Eric is like, no, because if a skier says that they're okay and the patrol moves on, they don't
There's no
keep
need
a
to make a
record of
record.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What
And
a
then-
job, though.
'Cause
Ski patrol?
Imagine the world in which they did.
Yeah.
Where they,
Where
every time they ski
every
past a
time
person,
someone's like, "Nah, I'm good," you have to write that down.
Yeah.
you just ask somebody how they're doing, just like as a polite, hey, how you doing?
Write in the books. You know what it. That's their
it down.
protocol.
I wrote more about that, but it's basically they just go back and forth on that a lot. All right, the next witness to the stand is Whitney Smith. And she said, like, she met Terry further down the hill after the original accident. So, like, that definitely supports that Terry had said that he was okay before to the original ski patrol. Okay, I wrote, she's being cross-examined by Gwyneth Paltrow's more competent lawyer. And I said I don't know his name, but then I learned later that it was James Egan. Oh, he's asking her about the report that she made that day, but he calls it a rapport. In her report, she refers to Craig Ramone as Terry's large male friend, because at the time she didn't know his actual name. But then while they're like discussing the report during the trial, she's like, "Can I actually just call him Craig from now on?"
That's funny.
Yeah. She said that his rib injury was actually the main issue, and like all of the monitoring that she did for a concussion, like she said, like there didn't really seem to be any sign of like him having a concussion. She said like he wasn't like dazed and confused, he wasn't dizzy, he didn't have a headache, like anything like that. And like she did like a brain test where she like told him to remember a bunch of things, and then like later he remembered everything she said. Yeah, so I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Bueller asks her why she didn't follow the lead when Craig said that Gwyneth Paltrow was the one that hit Terry, and she said once someone leaves the scene of an accident, it's not my job to go track them down, and that would be pretty impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the next witness is Stephen Grath, who is the ski patrol manager that was working at the ski lodge that day. Okay, so Mr. Sykes like yells at him, like asking him like, how is it possible that at the site of the collision no one like noticed that Terry was disoriented, and then 5 to 7 minutes later he claimed that he was disoriented. And I don't know, and Steven said, I never said anything about that. I don't know, that's just what the reports say, that's just what happened. Sykes asks him if it's reasonable that a man who has 4 broken ribs would tell someone that they're okay. And Steven said, yes, that is reasonable. I see that happen all the time. He says when people are in an accident, they want to be okay, and so they say that they're okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Now we're on day 6, and Grath is called to the stand again. Let's see. Oh, he asks, did it bother you that Eric Christensen falsified his report to cover up wrongdoing on the part of Gwyneth Paltrow? And Steven said, there's no cover up. It's not falsified. This was just his report of what happened. And Mr. Sykes is like, okay, no further questions.
Wow. Because did you think you were going to get somewhere with that one?
I mean, he tried. He tried his darndest.
I guess he did.
Like I said, these lawyers are really grasping at straws.
Not good at their jobs.
No.
It's rough.
Because they know that they don't have a case.
I feel like you could probably craft one, but they have done a horrible job at
exactly.
Yeah. All right, the next witness is Irving Schur, who he's like the first, I mean, I guess aside from Alina, but he's like the first like guy who's not like involved in the case, but he's like a like on the side like expert that I actually really like and respect. He's super cool. He's a biomechanical engineer, and he also happens to be the president of snow sports safety for the entire world.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the world?
I mean, for the U.S.
Oh, I was like, that seems like a daunting task.
But he said that it's like the snow sports safety isn't any different in other countries. Like he basically
yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to tell you what happened here. So he basically just explains how like the skis are made so that they'll like eject if like need be. So like your boots will come out if like they're at a weird angle. And since that didn't happen, like whatever Terry says in his report, like it wouldn't make sense for Gwyneth to have been like the one behind him, because in his story, what would have had to happen is if Terry was like fell down face forward and Gwyneth was behind him, her skis, at least one of her skis, like would have gotten caught underneath him. And
her long boys would have gotten caught up in his long boys. Exactly.
And then so that her legs wouldn't break, the ski would have ejected, because that's like what it's built for.
Sure.
And because both of their skis were fully intact, it basically means that would have been an impossible scenario.
Right.
And he says that Dr. Bain, do you remember, like, from before, he's the guy who said that the only way that this accident could have happened is if Gwyneth hit Terry. He basically was like, no, Dr. Bain did all of his math wrong. So he's just wrong entirely. So that's basically who that guy was. And at one point, like, he's like drawing like on a board, like a whiteboard, like showing all of his calculations and everything. And at one point, the judge, like, he's like, I think this might be a good time for you to draw some more pictures. It's really funny. All right. Since Bueller can't seem to get his way with Dr. Schur's testimony, he again strikes to, or he moves to strike all of his testimony, which of course is overturned. For days 7 through 8, tensions are high, morale is low, and Terry's counsel keeps trying to cockblock all of Gwyneth Paltrow's witnesses. So basically, like, they object to like everything that they possibly can, so that the witnesses can't give any information. Dr. Bain takes the stand again, and he says that in Schur's math, he didn't calculate whether or not it was a free fall, and that because it wasn't a free fall, that means that Gwyneth would have had to land on Terry. But in Terry's story of what happened, he is claiming that it's a free fall because he says that Gwyneth hit him and he like flew a little bit and then landed. So basically, Dr. Bain is contradicting Terry's testimony, even though Dr. Bain is supposed to be Terry's witness. So that's really silly. He asks Dr. Bain if he is like familiar with the mechanics of skiing, and Dr. Bain says no, he's not at all familiar with snow sports.
Wow.
Yeah. So, all right, now we're finally at closing arguments. Mr. Sykes, on behalf of Terry, claims that because Craig Ramone doesn't know Terry very well, that he has no dog in the fight. But I wrote, Craig Ramone strikes me as a guy who just likes to stick his nose in other people's business. So, therefore, he could have a bias.
Yeah. Also, he's just like some lonely weirdo who has a group chat for hangouts.
Yeah. And this guy was his buddy.
So were you anti-group chat for hangouts now?
No, I'm just saying it is a particular type of person. Not like us, because we're cool, but like it is a particular type of person that's involved in one
Sad
of those.
and lonely.
Right. Exactly.
He claims that since Terry was the one who was injured, that proves that he was not at fault.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You know how if you drive your car into a tree because you got hurt, it's not your fault?
It is not your fault.
Yeah,
it is that tree's fault. What was that tree
In this
doing?
case, the tree's name is Gwyneth Paltrow.
He says Terry is a worse person and people don't like him anymore.
Terry's a real piece of shit now.
And
Terry's a
because
real
of that-
fucking egg-sucking son of a bitch now.
It's so funny.
And because of that, it's Gwyneth Paltrow's fault. And he tries to appeal to the jury by saying that Terry, the real Terry, never came home off of that mountain. So please
so dramatic.
help him come home.
How is the money going to help him come home?
It's not going to do anything other than he'll have more money. Then he already has.
Which is plenty. Because
he can go skiing the same place Gwyneth Paltrow
at the same place like Gwyneth Paltrow, and he'd be taking your yoga instructor out on fucking trips and shit. Come on now.
And then he talks about how this guy taught him how to milk a cow by hand. And he said it was very hard for him to do being a country boy. And then he said, I grew up in the city.
Okay.
So it didn't make any sense. And like the whole point of the cow milking thing was the guy had special equipment that was more efficient to help milk the cows. And he basically says like Terry doesn't have his fancy equipment anymore.
What?
And he can't milk any cows.
Okay.
Yeah. In Owen's closing arguments, he says, of course you can feel bad for Terry, but that doesn't mean that that's Gwyneth Paltrow's fault.
Yeah.
He said, in fact, he's the one who hit her and he ruined her day. And now he wants $3 million for it, and that's not okay. It would have been easier for Gwyneth Paltrow to write him a check, but that would have been wrong, and that's why she's here. At one point, he stumbles over his words, and he says, Miss Paltrow is asking for her dollar. Which is funny, because he said it right the first time. He says, skiing is a beautiful but dangerous sport. And Sykes interrupts him with an objection because they didn't discuss that he was going to say that.
That's so funny.
He says Craig Ramone is a bad witness because he's colorblind and he was far away. And he was behind Terry at the time of the accident, but in his testimony he said that he heard a scream and he turned to look to see what it was. And that doesn't make any sense if he was behind them and they were in front of him. Yeah. If he had been hit the way that he claims that he was, his skis would have come right off. And he said, your skis don't stay on when you've been blown.
So true.
He struggles with the word anonymity again.
It's a rough word.
Yeah. He shows 5 animations, and Terry's counsel objects to him showing the last 2 because they said that they only approved 3 of them. And the judge is like, well, there were 3 full animations, but then 2 partials. But then after he plays the second 2 animations, he says, I guess the other ones before were probably a lot more powerful.
I really want to see these animations because, like, what I'm picturing... Do you remember Line Rider on Newgrounds? Yes. That's exactly what I'm picturing in my head.
He brings up the fact that Craig Ramone said that Terry was out for 2 minutes. And he says, can you imagine looking at someone being knocked out for 2 minutes and not calling, 911?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 minutes is a long time.
It really is.
It's a really long time.
And you're just like, Terry!
Yeah.
Terry!
Come on! Terry! Come on, you blind son of a bitch!
So, like, the cameras in the courtroom, like, they show both Terry and Gwyneth Paltrow, like, while Owens is doing his final arguments. And Terry has, like, a smug smile on his face when he's listening to Owens. And, like, I think that it's because Owens, like, has a hard time speaking and, like, stumbles over his words a lot. And so I think that Terry thinks that that means that he's going to win. But... that's just not what happened.
Delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had 10 jurors, but only 8 were allowed to deliberate. And I just think that I would be so pissed if I were one of the 2 jurors who had to sit through all of that bullshit.
And then your opinion doesn't even matter.
Your opinion does not matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was shitty. So the verdict was that Gwyneth Paltrow was found not liable and not at fault for the injuries caused to Terry. And Terry was found liable and at fault for the damages caused to Gwyneth Paltrow. and he had to give her $1.
I mean, that's good, I guess.
And when the verdict was read, Terry looked super defeated and like he was about to cry, and
Good.
Gwyneth Paltrow also looked like she was about to cry, but in like a relieved kind of a way. Like, finally this bullshit is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And while the verdict was being read, there was a guy in the courtroom who was just going, yes. The whole time.
He was really pulling for Gwyneth there.
Yeah.
I think
That's
we all
cute.
were.
I think
'cause come
everyone
on
was.
now.
Because the alternative is just too bad.
It's like, take her down, but not this way.
Yeah.
Not you.
And Gwyneth Paltrow was the first person to leave the courtroom. And as she left, she leaned over Terry and said, "I wish you well."
She didn't have to say shit to him.
Well,
No, that was a little jab.
Yeah.
That was a little. That was
Yeah,
a-
you're being a dick, dude. You won the trial.
Yeah.
Bitch. Like,
you ain't gotta rub it. You ain't gotta rub it in.
you ain't gotta do nothing. You just leave.
do you guys have
I-
any questions?
I hate that. I don't have any question. I just hate everyone involved.
It's such a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, including mine especially.
But yeah, mostly Stacy's. I
Yeah.
feel like Stacy's the biggest
Nobody
victim of all.
made Stacy watch 80 hours
No,
of
I
fucking...
feel like Stacy might be able to sue Gwyneth Paltrow here and have a better case than fucking Terry did.
That's true. That is
Dude.
true.
I learned so much about the legal system.
I learned a lot about how skis work.
Yeah.
I did not know they just automatically inject you upon
And
or
that's
eject
smart.
you
And
upon
they're
impact.
smart for
yeah,
that.
that is really smart.
It is
Yeah.
smart. Yeah,
I
it's
bet
better
that's
to
terrifying,
lose your
like-
skis than to have your ankles broken.
Yeah.
for sure.
Could you imagine though? You hit like something just the wrong way, and you're just shot out of your skis. You're going
But
downhill.
I want to know how many ankle breakings occurred before
They decided to do
yeah.
that.
they were
no.
like, oh,
For
we need
sure.
an ejector
Yeah.
button.
Well, that's what Dr. Schur's job was, to make sure that.
But I'm saying, like, from the invention of skis,
that saved so many
till
crushed ankles.
that,
Yeah,
you know, like how many ankles were mangled?
a lot.
Probably a lot. It's probably a real problem
I think that's how Roosevelt ended up in the wheelchair, right?
because he was skiing and got his ankles
Yeah,
broken.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Dude, that would be super rough, man.
That's how
Yeah.
Sonny Bono died.
Really?
I mean, he died skiing. He didn't die from broken ankles, though. But I don't know. It's just
Like,
a dumb
you
joke.
ever fall down on some skates and it's like the worst experience of your
terrible.
fucking life?
Because also, how do you get back up? You know, that's tricky.
Oh, it's embarrassing. It's like I already
As
done
hell.
fell. Now I'm scooting and sliding all over this damn floor.
And now you got to do it downhill, and your butt's cold. That's terrible. Skiing's an awful sport. Why would anybody do that?
I went skiing once. It was fun.
That sounds terrible.
It's invigorating.
I'll go water skiing.
It's like chewing 5 gum. You know?
No, that's terrible. I would go water skiing. That sounds like fun. I'll never watch Iron Man the same. I don't think.
I'll never watch Iron Man again. So, who the fuck has revisited that shit?
Was she in that movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
She plays Pepper Potts.
I just want to say, I know like a lot of people like to shit on Gwyneth Paltrow, and like she's definitely made some weird choices, but I think she's pretty great. I loved her in Shallow Hal, and I also loved her on Glee. I think she's awesome.
Shallow Hal is a movie.
I think that me liking Gwyneth Paltrow's acting is the thing that really pisses me off more. That she's such an insufferable human
She
being.
is a huckster, and she's a snake oil salesperson.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Other than that,
feel
though,
like
have you
fuck
guys
her.
like listened to her talk, like just in the
Yes, that's what.
Yeah,
what?
yeah, that makes it
She
worse.
had a show, and it was awful.
She had a show?
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was just her selling her snake oil.
Yeah, and visiting like tantric sex people and being all.
Okay,
right,
I mean
well,
that
that's
sounds
based.
awful. That sounds awful. But I mean, like, have you just heard her like talking to like on like a podcast?
Hey, have you guys ever?
Absolutely, I've never listened to. Absolutely not.
Well, she sounds like a totally nice, normal, reasonable human being. When she's
Yeah,
talking
until
in
she's
real life.
That's
telling
kind
you
of
to
her superpower, right?
Shove rocks in your hoo-ha.
To get rid of the syphilis.
I don't know. You know what? There's two kinds of people in the world. People who are all right with Gwyneth Paltrow and people who aren't.
And
So,
people who are blind.
I'm not blind. I just don't hate her.
Would you stick rose quartz up your hoo-ha?
No. I'm not going to buy any of her products. I don't necessarily say I support any of her products.
I would buy the
just
candle.
I don't like somebody using authority to be wrong out loud to millions of people.
I don't like somebody using their authority to profit off of being wrong
out loud to millions of people.
That's my big thing.
I think it depends on whether or not she knows if she's wrong.
But she can easily find out if she's wrong, but she don't fucking do it.
I guess
she has them. She
has all of the resources in the world, but you can find out that you're wrong. But you want to sell products. Fuck the hell.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm one of the others. So just you can dislike me and my opinions.
I don't dislike you. I just think Gwyneth Paltrow's the devil.
I just think you'd be wrong sometimes, Stacey.
And that's okay.
Of course.
All right. You want to tell us a fucking story, Jesse?
Not really.
Yeah,
I really don't want to do this, dude. All right. So, last week, I told you guys the story of the Finders. And I'm just going to do a quick recap.
Oh, here. Yeah.
So, in February of 1987, Tallahassee police received a call regarding 6 visibly neglected children being supervised by 2 well-dressed men at the park. Upon arrival, police see that the children were underdressed, malnourished, filthy, and covered in bug bites. The 2 men, Douglas Amerman and James Michael Hallwell, were arrested and charged with 6 counts of misdemeanor child abuse and then held on a $100,000 bond. This sparked a nationwide investigation that pointed to satanic ritual child abuse, and just 6 weeks later, all charges were dropped, and Amerman and Hallwell were released. 4 months after the initial arrest, U.S. Customs Agent Adrian Martinez, along with private investigator James Bradley, filed an independent report, and their findings were troubling to say the least. They found evidence hinting at not just a satanic cult, but an international child trafficking ring spanning all the way to China. They also found very advanced telecommunications tech, stuff that would not become consumer goods for nearly another decade. But the hinkiest part was that they had found a detailed summary of the arrest of Amerman and Hallwell, but this summary had been sent a day after the arrest, which was way before the story had broke. However, this report wouldn't see the light of day for another 30 years. And this is the story of the Finders.
Okay. Oh, boy.
I gave myself goosebumps when I wrote that. It was really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's not even that good. I'm kind of easy. I'm a cheap date. All right, so fast
To
forward.
yourself and your pride and your own accomplishments.
Fast forward 6 years have passed. It is 1993. The Martinez report has been buried and remained so. In December, the Department of Justice announced their own investigation with the aim of making conspiracy charges. During this investigation, a private eye by the name of, and I need you guys to brace yourselves for this one because it's great.
Okay.
His name is Skip Clements,
Ooh.
which a private eye named Skip Clements.
Yeah.
If I needed to hire someone to tail my cheating whore of a wife,
I was gonna say,
it's gonna be Skip.
She walked in my office, all legs or whatever.
Leggy, the leg, she's 900 legs.
She has so many legs.
She's more legs.
You turn off your mic. Thank you.
It's like
Legs.
Turn it on.
Legs. I'm holding
Fidgety.
it weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip Clements. Skip Clements.
It's like so on the nose, dog.
I know. It's a lot. Skip Clements claimed that Martinez was ordered to cease all investigations into the Finders. Clements also claimed that Martinez was told by a senior U.S. Customs official that the Finders was, quote, a CIA operation. These claims made their way to Congress, which led to the DOJ to investigate the CIA directly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because is your CIA operation trafficking children? Is that the CIA operation?
So I think I know what's going on there. This is all speculation, but we'll get to it. The official stance of the CIA is that Martinez misunderstood his order. This had become a CIA internal matter because a member of the Finders was employed at the CIA. He ran a computer training facility that operated under the name Future Enterprises, Inc., a name so vague that it loops back around to being nefarious.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
prompted the investigation, right? The vice president of Future Enterprises confirmed that it had been used to train CIA operatives, but of course denied being a shell company for the Finders, right? Second, however, according to a quote from an unnamed CIA agent from the Washington Post, operatives were being sent to a, quote, Finders Corp, Future Enterprises for training for computer operations. So, like, it's Finders Corp, Future Enterprises Incorporated.
So, interesting.
A later U.S.
And Future Enterprises is a CIA.
It is at the
Guys
so we
think.
we know at least it is a facility that has been used to train CIA operatives.
Right.
What's up for debate at this point is whether or not it was CIA ran. Right? Which, I mean, come on.
But
Come
the
on.
CIA employee started this business, correct?
Was at least in charge of it. He
Right.
ran the show.
He ran the show. So
think.
that's a CIA, or do you
So
understand what I'm saying?
This is all
nigga
okay.
is
So
a-
I want to say this is all very hard to like pin down. Like there are some reports that say he's just like the CIA claims he just was employed there because of course they're going to say that, right? But there are other people saying that this was like a CIA. This was just the CIA running this shit.
I'm sorry. When you're in the CIA, do you have multiple jobs? This is what I'm trying to understand. Do you have multiple jobs?
So
Like, do you work at the CIA and then you also have another external job?
I mean, so I can how this works. I think for a lot of stuff is that you work for the CIA and you're given a goal, and how you achieve that goal is up to you. And I'm going to break this down later.
Okay.
So a later U.S. Customs report corroborates this claim about the Finders Corp, right? That this claims that the CIA had admitted to owning the Finders Corporation as a front for domestic training operations, but it had quote gone bad. And this is gonna make sense, I promise.
Okay.
In an interview with U.S. News, then Florida House of Representatives member Tom Lewis had this to say, quote, "Could our own government have something to do with this Finders organization and turn their backs on these children? This is what all of the evidence points to, and there is a lot of evidence. I can tell you this, we have got a lot of people scrambling, and that wouldn't be happening if there was nothing here."
Yeah. Because you had to have dropped the ball somewhere.
Yes.
CIA.
Yes.
Nigga, your whole shit is intelligence,
Yes.
dog. So, like...
At some point, yes. However, in an interview for the same article, Marion Petty, who we talked about last time, he is the leader of the Finders and retired Air Force Master Sergeant. We talked about him last week. He denies any allegations of Satanism or child abuse, along with any connections to the CIA. And I want to note the contradiction here. So the guy allegedly in charge of this organization, right, says we have no connections with the CIA at all. But the CIA is saying, yeah, they helped train our computer dudes.
Yeah.
So there's a contradiction there. He claims that the Finders are only, he claims that the CIA is only interested in the Finders because his wife used to work for them. And then from here, the Department of Justice just drops its investigation. Or the findings were buried way too deep for me to find without being paid to look for them. You can subscribe to our Patreon. This was the last we would hear from the Finders, and Petty died in 2004. Good riddance.
What about the children?
Well, I don't have a good answer for that. I wish I did.
Jeez.
That's the complete timeline. That
Okay.
and then everything I told you about last week. From here, I'm going to go over just some shit that was uncovered recently that's going to give things a little bit more context, and then I'm just going to kind of speculate from there,
Okay.
and we can talk. We're going to fast forward to 2019 now. Twitter is a shithole, but it still has a smidge of credibility as a platform. So the FBI tweets a link to 600 pages of heavily redacted documents detailing their investigation into the finders. And when I say heavily redacted, like there was one page that was like a wall of redacted words, except for like there and like and when, you know, like it was just nothing, you know. And this is just really tricky to navigate because of that. Like it was so much nothing to sort through, which is like by design, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't find, there's nuggets of like nefarious shit in there if you can find it.
Yeah.
In October of 1993, the Department of Justice requested that the FBI perform a preliminary inquiry into the finders based on claims of satanic ritual abuse made by Redacted. This is assumed to be Skip Clements.
Right.
And to investigate claims of CIA involvement. In these documents, Redacted claims that the CIA, the State Department, and the FBI's Foreign Counterintelligence Agency conspired to cover up the existence of the finders. Redacted here is presumed to be Martinez, and thus backed by the U.S. Customs Agency because he was a U.S. Customs agent, right? FBI documents also confirm that Jim Bradley, the private eye who worked with Martinez, was told by someone to drop the case. An additional search warrant led to a farm in West Virginia. No ties to government agencies were found. However, very clear evidence of ritual abuse was found. Customs tried to use this to get access to further evidence that was being held by what I'm assuming is just alphabet soup agencies, you know. However, that request for information was denied. Internal documents from the MDB intelligence agency. This is like a military defense thing that I've never heard of it before. They advised that any documents regarding details of the finders be classified at the secret level, and that no documents should be handed over to the FBI under any circumstances.
Interesting.
In interviews, former members of the finders detailed methods used to silence anyone speaking out. In one such case, someone's house was burnt down, and that's still an open arson case. They would also, like, if family members of the children tried to contact the children or anyone associated with the cult, they would send, like, their grandparents or whatever really detailed letters of really detailed descriptions of their abuse, and sometimes that would include like drawings or pictures of the children being abused.
Why would they do that?
Just like, I think it was like as a way, like if you don't shut the fuck up, like it's gonna get a lot worse.
Oh,
I think
see.
it was like a threat, you
I
know,
see.
like we're already doing this. If you don't shut up, it's gonna get worse. Plus, they clearly, at this point, it's very clear they have, like, they can do whatever they want with, like, flagrant disregard to the law, you know? There's also talk amongst these former members of infiltrating Redacted in the United States. Consensus seems to think that Redacted here in the documents is either the FBI or the CIA. So like members of the finders were trying to, if they hadn't successfully like infiltrated the CIA, right? A search warrant was issued for a farm in Madison County, Virginia. Evidence was found there that suggested an attempted takeover of city government in Culpeper, Virginia. Cages were also found on the farm. Witnesses claimed that those cages were for children.
Oh.
And finally, one of the investigators in his summary had this to say. It is of the writer's belief that the Finders organization is and has been utilized by the Central Intelligence Agency as a disinformation service, spreading non-essential, non-critical information to various organizations throughout the United States and overseas. This group, to the most part, is made up of overeducated non-achievers who lack the inborn initiative to succeed on their own. Therefore, they fell in with a charismatic leader who gave them direction and self-importance. To the most part, this organization individually is harmless. However, when directed and monitored by a controlling factor, they are capable of destructive and illegal activities. In any cult structure, the main drive is for the group and individual values and ideology is lost. Therefore, when a member is asked to perform a task that heretofore may have been objectionable, he or she performs this mission for the good of the group. They're talking about like brainwashing here, I think,
Yeah.
right? As for the children, the abuse of children, I do not think that child abuse was a planned tactic of this group, but as in any cross-section of society, this is fucking crazy, but as in any cross-section of society, sick and demented subjects belong to a cult as well. I do believe that the shaping of children is a planned experiment of this group, as is the case of the Nazis. They strove for a perfect society, thereby, in their own way, they tried to form a group of children and ultimately adults that did not suffer from the ills of normal society, but took only the benefits that afforded them perfection. This is like a weird, like they're trying to
I'm trying to understand, because what the fuck are you talking about? Where in your cult, like you okay, here I am, the charismatic leader, yada yada, whoop whoop whoop. When did we start trafficking children, though?
So
was it for money? Was it for?
It's really funny, Brent. That's what I think was going on. Let me finish up this last. I'm not quite done with the summary, and then I'll talk about that. Lastly, I do not feel that the Finders have disbanded. I feel this is by far the most important part. I just want to reiterate that. Lastly, I do not feel that the Finders have been disbanded, as reported by their leaders. Instead, as in their master plan, have appeared to have disbanded to prevent further detection by law enforcement or social services officials. I believe firmly that this group should be monitored in a general sense, and if further development occur, they should be noted. Like, these people are still out there. Yeah, like Marion Petty's dead.
Yeah.
But all the people under him...
Right.
And cults don't just, like, somebody assumes that position of power in cults.
Yeah.
So do they think that they, like, moved somewhere else?
We don't know. That was it. We don't know.
And they don't know where these people are at all?
Nope.
So they probably
they probably know, yeah. Because, like, they're on the fucking CIA payroll.
Wait.
Well, payroll. I don't think they're... Well, that's the thing. Okay, so what I think is going on, right, is that Marion Petty was given a job. He was given a goal, like anybody who works for the CIA. How you fund that goal, especially with these black ops, is up to you. Figure it the fuck out. Right? Just like the Iran-Contra, like the U.S. government, the CIA sold crack to fund the Iran-Contra, right?
Right.
I just think this is a case of Marion Petty selling children to the people in Hong Kong that we talked about last week, and vice versa, buying children from Hong Kong and selling them to wealthy individuals here in the U.S. to fund his CIA operations.
But it's like, that's crazy.
Of course that's crazy. But it's what's being done.
But it's like,
CIA just fund their own operations. That's my question.
Because then they have to explain where that money's going, right? They have these things called black ops, where a lot of, like, they don't have to explain where the money's coming in from or where the money's going.
Okay. So from the information that you gave me,
they chalk that up to national security or whatever. Like, they don't tell you, because if they told you, that would mean terrorism wins.
From what you basically said, if I'm following this correctly, the CIA needed to spread misinformation.
Correct.
So then they hired a dude to do that job.
Correct. Former Air Force Master Sergeant Marion Petty.
And then he also trained other CIA agents in the spreading of misinformation.
Correct.
And
now, whether or not
then he separately started a cult. He infused the cult.
The cult
into
is the
his
means to that end. Now, whether or not
do you think that the cult was means to that end, or some nigga just wanted to make a cult?
That's kind of what's up for debate, right? Is if Marion knew that he was just there to spread misinformation, then yes, the cult is a means to that end. However, if Marion Petty was just a useful idiot, then it was just some motherfucker trying to start a cult, abusing his power. However, given the fact that he is, like I said, a retired master sergeant, like I said last week, that ain't no slouch. He had to have known what was up. He had to have known what the deal was. I do not believe for a second that he didn't.
He knew what the deal was, that he was trafficking children, or other people were trafficking
He
children?
knew what his goal was.
What his job was with the
and
CIA.
that was how he chose to fund it.
It's so complicated.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a lot.
what I'm trying to.
It's a lot to parse through, and I apologize
Like
for that.
if the CIA part was his goal, if that was what a weird way to go about doing any of that.
Yeah, it's like starting a cult as like a side hustle.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, or is it?
Well, hold on, let me hit you with this,
Or is
though.
it that
Hold up.
guy started a cult, was starting a cult or whatever the fuck, and also just happened to be good, have connections in other places.
That
like
is a
he was
possibility. I
already
suppose that is a possibility.
guy.
Sure.
And then the CIA was like, "Oh, you can help me spread misinformation."
Sure.
And then he was like, "Oh, I can also, now that I'm part of the CIA, I can use that to further my network of child trafficking shit. I can boost my operation because
Right.
now I'm part of the CIA."
Fuck, I forgot what I was going to say.
resources.
What was the thing you said?
Oh, something about how he started a cult as a side hustle?
Yeah, that. No,
Didn't help,
no,
sorry.
didn't help. No, you're good.
Because it just seems, it's just such a crazy mixture of things a person does.
So I guess I don't think it's that far of a stretch. So if you think about it, think about how like similarly an MLM is structured to a cult.
Yeah.
It's just this structure that is used to break people down. I bet, we know a comic who who used to be in the military and did, interrogation and shit. I feel like he's talked about this shit. It's very similar techniques.
Are you, okay.
Are you talking about Camp?
Are you saying
No.
the CIA structure would be similar? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, why wouldn't they use they're already using the same techniques a cult would use in Guantanamo Bay, sleep deprivation, calorie deprivation, psychological and physical torture.
Right.
Why wouldn't they just use it under the guise of a cult this time?
To what end, though? To what end is the cult? Does the cult matter to the CIA?
I don't think the cult is, again, I think the cult is a means to an end.
What end? That's what I'm saying. That don't make no sense.
That shit is secret. That shit, I don't know. To spread misinformation. Misinformation about what? I don't fucking know.
But I assume they were spreading misinformation to other countries.
Yes. Well, probably
So how
China.
the fuck is a fucking cult in the United States
don't
going
know.
to help you achieve that?
I don't know, but
it would have to be the other way around.
But it's confirmed that this was a thing. So
right. No, I know. I'm just trying to understand.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to understand how we got here.
Yeah. I don't
How is there a
know.
cult, CIA, computers, misinformation, child traffic? How did all of this come to be?
I don't know
Why
how.
were those niggas like why were they traveling with the little girls but also with fancy computers? What were they doing?
I think what was going on is they dropped off some kids someplace, picked up kids there to drop them off at another place, and were waiting for their orders via the computer.
I see.
A lot of this stuff is just kind of speculation,
That's
which
just
is
insane. That's, the whole story is insane.
I think what's the worst part about all of this, though, is like, so like the modern narrative now is that it's like they're trans in the youth or whatever. But like
They're transing the youth.
yeah, the trans people are
I
like,
see.
you know,
A
like
scourge.
but like it's
Scourge.
not, it's rich and powerful people, right? And CIA operatives like fucking kidnapping the youth and selling them. It's not fucking
Right.
like, this is a problem. Like,
Yeah.
it is happening. Child trafficking is happening, but it's not fucking gay people.
It's not.
It's the CIA.
It's the CIA.
Uh,
It is any whatever group has the power, or the people that are just blatantly kidnapping kids and trafficking them.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to see the manifest, you know? Let me see the manifest.
That's crazy.
I just have to say, I don't really understand why child trafficking is such a large industry. I
'Cause-
mean, like, how many people really would actually want to fuck a kid?
A lot.
And
But
I
like, why?
Well, no, I don't think it is a lot. I think it's, you know how the free-to-play MMO industry operates on whales? Like a few people who spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on.
Yeah. I would agree with that. But I would also agree with, like, man, there's a lot of pedophiles.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
that. There's a lot of them.
But why?
But there's not...
I can't tell you what in their brain makes it so that they want to
I think it depends on the
fuck
pedophile,
children.
you know?
Do you think it's just that
I think there's no one thing.
children are less capable of, like, making decisions?
I think it's got
No.
nothing to do with the children.
I don't think it has-
overpower?
Power dynamics. It's a lot of reasons.
Yeah. I mean, TBIs, like we talked about earlier, I listened to an episode of Radiolab that talked about that once, who, like, a guy who was perfectly normal beforehand, but then started watching child porn, you know, because he had a TBI. But there's also, like, people who were fucking abused as children. Not that that's a fucking
Yeah.
excuse,
Yeah,
but there
they-
are a million fucking reasons why someone is the way they are, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's fucked.
It's like so awful.
Yeah.
As a thing that we need to fix. It's that one. You know, like, good God.
This was really
Horrifying.
rough too. Just really terrible research. I kind of wanted to die after.
That there's such a horror in the world.
That the
was
government
like-
is aware of it and just like not doing
Yeah.
fuck all about it.
But it's like, but
'Cause, like,
that's the thing, though.
Like, if you assume the best case about like the CIA's involvement in this, right? They're still not doing fuck all about it.
yeah,
You know, like that's the best case scenario, is that they're indifferent to it, which
Yeah.
is fucked.
yeah,
I just think it's further proof that there might actually be an Illuminati.
I mean, in that, of course, there's a
that
group.
there's a
like,
group of rich
people.
dickheads.
Yeah, of course.
being dickheads. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the Illuminati,
I mean, I don't necessarily think that
But-
they're, like, supernatural. Or
but
anything
yeah,
like that,
rich
but-
people are fucking awful. Rich men, insane human beings.
You know, I guess
I
that
think
makes sense
after a
because-
certain part, like if you pass a certain wealth point, like you transcend like man, woman, black, white, like
Yeah.
you're just like a billionaire. You're fucking scum.
Yeah.
No,
Like
I
you deserve
think-
to be shot in the back of the head.
I think what the thing is that people who are able to get rich are the people who are willing to do immoral things. I think that's kind of the general
Well, I don't think you can get that rich doing moral things, you know?
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like,
well,
if I felt okay scamming people out of their money, there's a ton of different jobs I could have.
I don't think that you can get that rich. Period. Like, to be insanely wealthy is to have already been insanely wealthy, and maybe you just got a little bit more funds. But like, in order to be like a billionaire, you were already a millionaire. Like, there's no new to the situation. Right. You grew up.
That's just
but I think that there's like a difference then between people who are born into money and then they don't necessarily pursue that anymore. And then there's people that are born into money who do pursue that, and the things that they have to do are generally immoral things.
Right. But I think yes.
Yeah.
Why are you guys looking at me?
I don't know, we're done talking.
This was terrible.
Yeah, fuck rich people, dude.
Word.
I want to be like mildly rich. I want to be like Tig Notaro rich.
I don't want to be diddle kids rich, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
I want to have like a decent house.
Bill Clinton.
Kind of rich.
Could you... I want to do a part 3 on this at some point, because I found several articles that like tied Epstein to all of this in a like 3 degrees of Kevin Spacey or whatever that's called. But I just did not have the emotional fortitude.
Yeah, man, that shit's fucking rough, dude.
I need
just, like,
to
leave kids alone, man. Worship Satan all you want to. Leave kids the fuck alone.
Why besmirch Satan's good name?
And like, to have the fucking gall to also mistreat those children while they're in your care. For what, dog?
Yeah,
why are they malnourished?
One thing I found was really so they. According to pretty much all of the interviews, the children were fruitarians, right? They only ate raw fruits and vegetables. However, like when those pictures of them performing animal sacrifice were found, their excuse was, "Oh, we were teaching them animal husbandry," but the kids are fruitarians.
Yeah,
the kids don't eat meat.
Yeah,
so why are they slaughtering meat?
Right.
It's just all of it makes. And
how dare you make a kid be a fruitarian? Like, what a
terrible thing to do.
Just a shit.
Kill them. Just kill them.
Like, what the fuck?
They'll never have a cheesy gordita crunch.
It's so shitty.
Terrible thing to do to a child.
Yeah.
Probably the worst thing
shitty, dude.
they've done to the children. I didn't mean that. That was a joke. Probably in poor taste.
Everything you do is in poor taste.
That's true. That was my nickname in high school.
Son of a bitch.
Jesse Poor Taste McIntyre.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been The Good, the Bad, and the Funny. The Good, the Bad, and the Funny is hosted by Jesse McIntyre, Lynette Thomas, and Stacey Sark. Intro music by Jared Scott. For more, you can follow us on Facebook at The Good, the Bad, and the Funny. And if you want to help us out financially so we can do more stuff like this better, you can subscribe to us on the Patreon at The Good, the Bad, and the Funny.
Do we have a Patreon?
Yes, we do. Yep. I'll send you the info later. I'm trying to do this right now. And if you have any stories you'd like to hear featured on the podcast, you can email that to goodbadorfunny@gmail.com. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.